Hey guys, how you all doing today? Don't really have a whole lot going on. I know it's Halloween, so probably a small crowd tonight. And let me know if you can hear me okay. Let me know if you can hear me okay. I can hear myself all right. Hey kids, exit out of that tab, please. Thank you. Well, the one with me. Thank you, Jay. I appreciate that. Thank you, Jay.
Hi.
It's Samantha. Thank you, Jason. And hey, Jay, you're Wickerly Farms, huh? Yeah, you and I've been talking on Instagram. I got dark in here all of a sudden. Hold on a second. I said to exit out of it. Hold on. Well, then you should have turned it way down. That would have made it easier on me.
I can totally see why large productions have whole crews to turn off switches and turn on switches.
Right? Okay. Well, it's going to have yellow light. We'll have yellow light. Be what it be. Anyways. Well, I guess I'll go ahead and announce the winner of the liquid culture giveaway since he's here. Hey, John, you won.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Party time. My goodness, guys, I need a haircut. Look at that. When you gonna cut my hair, Samantha? It really shows up in this light.
I guess so.
Yeah.
I can do that.
Yes, John Grady. You, John. Welcome, Turtle Creek. And hi, Andrew from Iraq. Man, I have no idea how to pronounce your name, but hello from East Tennessee to Iraq. That's crazy.
In Ohio? Wow.
Hey, Cameron. Yeah, John, that was pretty cool. Yoruba Records. Hey, from St. Louis. Yeah, congratulations, John. You won our Hericium bulk pack. Wow. I'm also seeing now that I turned the light on all the cobwebs up there. My mother would kill me. Well, that's a little bit better, I guess. But no, now I feel like I'm like looming over you.
Oh, wow.
Mr. Moto, I'm not really quite sure what you spent time waiting on. I'm not sure which order was yours or who you were, but I'll tell you, man, anything other than liquid culture is shipping out really slow. So if you want a refund, just reach out to me, email me, and get your refund.
So we have lids on order, but they're on back order. We're waiting on those ourselves.
Yep.
So
everyone should have gotten a mass email, and if you did not, it's because our server had messed up, and it's done it a couple of times, but
we're definitely not a scam.
We're definitely not a scam, guys. We work as hard. Yeah, Samantha's right. We work hard for you guys. Sorry. But yeah, man, get your refund if you're tired of waiting. And if you had to wait for a month and then you got your refund, everybody's having to wait. So, I mean, I've been waiting on months and months for just rings. I have all the lid stuff, just no rings.
Yeah, it's the rings. Everything else made. And I can send pictures. Proof.
I'm not sure what I've got here. Somebody sent me a text. I don't know who that was, but man, go ahead. Do whatever you want to do to the Better Business Bureau. I'm willing to do whatever I can to make it right for you, but if, you know, you got to do what you got to do. I have a lot of people who order from me and have a lot of really good results. So So yeah, my Facebook people are truly running things for me. I get, I don't know, hundreds of phone calls a day. So I mean, I get hundreds of phone calls a day. I can't answer all of them by any means. Emails are the easiest way to get a hold of me. It takes me about 2 to 3 days right now to turn around. I'm getting tons of them. So sorry that you've had a bad experience with us, man. Like I said, I would do anything I could to make it right for you. Just contact me through email. I am always happy to make it right. Hell, I refunded a $400 something order yesterday because they were waiting on jars, lids, and I don't remember the other sir bars. And I am out of stock on all of it. And I've listed it as out of stock on the website now. I did send out a mass email, but that mass email does not always get through.
We are happy to give refunds if anyone wants.
Always happy. Well, Mr. Moto, I do try to be a good human being, so please. Yeah, the online business, I appreciate that, man. And honestly, it's just because I'm overwhelmed and because stock is low on everything. So we sold out of stock, and now we're waiting on it. There was a mass email that went out, but it did not communicate well. It did not go to everybody. Some people got it in spam folders, but it seems like only 1 in 3 people got the email.
I will say, Jay, too, on the Postal Service, we have been receiving some patches back in the mail.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I'm about to switch over to UPS or FedEx because I keep shipping stuff United States Postal Service, and some of our orders are just getting sent right back to us, and I can't explain it. And then they're saying that they're being held for people at the post office, and people aren't requesting that. I don't know.
And Melanie also works with the MCM team. I just want to keep that in light, that she is a part of the crew, and we all work together in conjunction with one another to try to make sure that everything gets out.
Yep.
So
you guys are dealing with a small business. I'm not a huge thing. Liquid Culture ships out in about a week, typically. Jay, and I don't think he's a troll. There are a lot of people who have a lot of issues with stuff going on right now. There's just a lot of supply chain issues. I'm not going to block him. There's no reason to block him. He's made his frustration clear, and everybody has a right to make their frustrations known.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we want to know how we can do better.
Let's see. So yeah, let's do questions. Anybody have anything they want to know? I know it's Halloween. We're just going to take it a little easy. We're not really doing much stuff around here in East Tennessee. There are some trunk or treats, but that's pretty much it. What's up, Mortal Virus? Amber Mills. Just want to say that you all are doing an awesome job and truly inspiring. Well, thank you, Amber. I really appreciate that. I appreciate you. I love the channel. Great teacher, but buying stuff was rough. Keep doing you, man. But that's just how I feel about it. I absolutely understand, man.
Like I said, anything that's slow.
Ooh, my friend found mason jars, one left in stock on Amazon for $37. Yeah, man, the shortages are crazy. I called Ball. I've been trying to order by the pallet.
Yeah.
I can't even order by the pallet until they said September back in July. And then September came around and they pushed it to December. And then right now I'm thinking like Ball has told me that I can't get a pallet until January or February.
We also have those emails and purchasing orders where we purchased everything at a certain date. And then we had the emails stating that things were on wait for us. So
yeah,
man,
it's
evidence.
I agree, Lance. After Charles left, Bukowski, or however you say it, it really has gone downhill fast. It's been really rough. Let's see. So we have a question. Happy Halloween. Yeah. Let's see. Oh, how do you get restaurant contracts? Okay, Deborah, that's a good question. The easiest way for me is I always look up the way I go for restaurants, and I haven't had to search for restaurants in a while. But let's see. I would go to Google and I would type in fine dining Knoxville, Tennessee, fine dining Sevierville, Tennessee. After that, you'll get a whole list of gourmet fine dining restaurants, right? So after you have those fine dining restaurants going on, that whole list, you'll look for non-chain restaurants. And it's not always obvious at first. Why does my lighting keep going off? Yeah, turn on some more lights, sweet. Thank you. So after you get the fine dining stuff going, Where was I? I've completely lost train of thought. Brain fart. Oh, yeah, you gotta look for non-chain restaurants. So you'll go through when you find your non-chain restaurant, just give them a call. Ask, try to do it sometime either before lunch or between lunch and supper rushes. You'll get on there and you'll call them up and you'll ask to speak to the person in charge of purchasing produce. Right? And that could be their chef. That could be sometimes they have a front end manager that will actually handle all those things for them. There's a lot of different things that you could have. So the biggest thing to me would be to just speak to that one person, try to get into the chef. Just tell them that you're going to bring a sample box by, right? So what you'll do is you'll take a box, and I always take them a full-size sample, what they would get if they ordered a 10-pound box from me, right? I don't want it to be my nicest looking mushrooms. I don't want it to be my worst looking mushrooms. And if the chef's always gone, then that's even better. Just take the box in. Oftentimes they'll say the chef's out when the chef's not out. They'll just do that.
Basically to kind of protect their time because they're typically so busy. And so if you just drop off the box and then show that quality, then the chef will, in every experience that we've had, the chef will directly call us.
Yep. If you grow quality mushrooms, just take them to the restaurant, leave your contact information. If you have quality, they will contact you. They'll at least ask about pricing. And I never say anything about pricing till after they call me. And that's pretty much it. After that, using that system, you always want to just find someone, especially if you can go look at their menu online, see if they use mushrooms on anything, if they're familiar with mushrooms, if they have anything like that. It's very, it's actually a pretty just simple process. Google fine dining, your metro, look for non-chain restaurants. Sometimes there will be non-chain restaurants that are owned by a chain. Ruby Tuesdays is one of my best customers. Why? Because I sell to like 13 of their restaurants that are non-chain restaurants, but it's owned by the corporation.
We do realize that they just filed bankruptcy, but it really hasn't affected all of our regular.
No, we still get paid weekly. We still get paid on delivery. So
don't be afraid.
Yep. All right, I'm losing the chat. Using grow tent.
And don't get discouraged. Keep
Sorry, guys.
on.
Well, thank you, Tian. I really appreciate that. South Africa, huh? There's a lot of mushroom farmers starting up in South Africa. Thank you, MSM Hessink. Well, thank you, Jason Lee, too. $37 for a jar. In my country, I pay basically $2.50 for a mason jar. Yeah, Tian. Well, it used to be like you can get a 12-pack for like $10. So it's less than $1 a jar. And Ball is here in East Tennessee. It's just an hour drive from me. Can't get anything. They are backed up for months. Lids, rings, everything. I've got orders for rings and rings and rings, like cases and cases of just jar rings for wide mouth and regular mouth. I'm even trying to make a regular mouth lid in case I can somehow get those out. And there's just tons of it. So
yeah, it really surprised us, especially since they were so close. We thought for sure that we could be a good supplier of that.
Using grow tent to grow mushrooms, does the circulation fan need to run nonstop? I had some tiger sawgill dry out. Humidity runs off an Inkbird fan running. So a circulation fan, I don't use circulation fans. The only fan I use is ventilation. And that is, I have one fan that put a tiny, small fan that's waterproof that pushes air over my humidifier just to get the fog up the elevator shaft that we have and out into the room. Other than that, I have a ventilation fan that's pulling air out of my room, and that runs 24/7, almost nonstop. It replaces the air in my grow room twice every 5 minutes, roughly. And that's the only thing I run. I don't run any circulation whatsoever. So many questions, John, huh? Okay, Hericiums start fruiting early, and I almost lost my bear's tooth from you. My fault. Is there a way to stimulate them to go back to producing mycelium? I made so many plates that had fruit bodies or grain that refused to make mycelium. Okay, John. So the easiest way, hands down, to grow Hericium is liquid culture. It does not produce the fruit bodies. You stir it constantly, or not constantly, but I stir mine every day for about a minute. That is easily the best way to grow out lion's mane. If you're growing on plates, keeping it really dark is one thing. Mike Tyson actually has a lot of good advice. He's an absolute Hericium fiend. But I would say you want to keep it dark as possible, because light really stimulates fruiting for Hericiums. You want a like a more woody agar. So put some sawdust in your agar. That seems to really help when I do it. A lot of times, if you just be patient, it'll try to produce fruit, and then eventually, way later, it will eventually start to create mycelium again. Lion's Mane is one of those hard ones. Once they start fruiting, it's really hard to get them to revert back, which is one of the reasons why with the spawn, I like keeping a jar of liquid culture, because I can just start a new bag of spawn like that. And it's much easier than having to go from spawn to from grain to grain to grain to grain, because once that bag starts fruiting and you get transfer from grain to grain with a little bit of fruit in it, those fruits will start to rot in that bag, thereby increasing contamination. And two, they will they'll just revert back to fruiting. They'll just continually try to fruit, and it's really rough. And I think it has something to do with hormones in the fruit body. Kind of like how you can take a plant and you can put rooting hormone on it, and it is way more likely to grow roots than to continue to veg out. I think it has a lot to do with hormones, but I don't have any proof of that, so don't quote me on it. Let's see, John or Jay. Okay, so I have 4x4 by 10-ish tent, and setting up slow as finances are tight. Is there a cheap way to balance FAE and humidity? Yeah, just controlling your fan speed. Just get a fan with a speed controller on it. You always want to run your fan where you get as much fresh air as possible, but you don't evacuate all of your humidity. And you just play with that back and forth. And every day you can kind of adjust it if you need to, once a day or so. That's pretty much it. Superior mushrooms. It's Roan! My friend, the owner of a recycle center, gives us truckloads of glass bottles. People throw canning jars away all the time. We have an 8-foot wide pile at our farm. Oh my gosh, man, that is such a resource. Oh, that's such a resource.
Don't they have a finite lifetime?
They do, but if people throw them away early, then
how would you know?
You wouldn't know, at least not that I know of. Another Q, do you think homemade injection ports are good enough if I can't order heavy-duty ports in bulk? Ports made from RTV silicone seem to last 30+, and you make so many lids. Yeah, they work just fine. The homemade RTV silicone buildup, to me, it's just not, it's too time intensive. I have to spend too many man hours producing it. So for me, it's better just to order the ports in. And plus, I order larger amounts than most people. What would you suggest for a newly starting company in a town that has restaurants importing mushrooms? You've got no problems, man. Mortal, oh my gosh, this fly is so interested in the camera on the lap. Is it because of the little light? Hand my boom boom to me. I want my boom boom.
There you go.
Did you see that? She pointed it at me.
Stop.
All right. So what would you suggest for a newly starting company in a town that has restaurants importing mushrooms? Your freshness is going to blow everyone away. So my advice is to just be consistent. Always have mushrooms available. Always overproduce for what mushrooms you have, and for what restaurants you have, I mean, and just always be available to them. Your quality is going to blow everyone out of the water. So
that said, we have had some restaurants that buy bulk from other people, and they prefer the low price, and you don't want to deal with them.
Yeah, anyone who tries to nickel and dime you, it's not worth dealing with anyways. Don't be so desperate that you need that dollar now that you're screwing yourself out of dollars in the long term. So just be patient, build your base slowly. It'll build, and just focus on the quality of the mushrooms. If you focus on the quality of the mushrooms, getting them out, mushrooms will sell for you. Been wanting to get an oyster mushroom. Can't pick any suggestions for first-time growers. Oh, James, you had to ask me that question. King Blue. King Blue seems to be my most popular strain. It is so easy to grow. It is so tender. It's the same texture from start to finish, all the way down to the base. There's no hard core. There's no hard stems. It's just a beautiful mushroom. That would probably be the first mushroom I would tell you to go to. That said, my blue and my gold are both good commercial variants that really produce well and really easily. And that also, any kind of lion's mane or comb tooth is pretty easy to produce. It's like one step more difficult than oysters. So
I really like the snow oyster with these dropping temperatures. I don't know. It has a really big bulky stem at its base, but it's got such a beautiful just like shell. I like the texture of it.
Yeah, the snow goose is beautiful. The one chef wanting them, what? COVID hit and they are closed down. Deborah, that happens. You just got to keep looking. Closed. Yeah, go through the churn. I will say that, yeah, we had 2 restaurants closed permanently. We have half as many restaurants as what we had pre-COVID, if that tells you anything. However, we took a slump in the summer, and then with half as many restaurants, we're doing as much business and probably have more demand than what we had before.
Well, the ones that survived have kind of they've gone to this eater. The ones that have survived,
I can barely hear you.
have gone to a kind of grab and go business model, and people are just calling in deliveries, and then they're basically just running them out to the street to their cars, and so that's been kind of cool.
It's been nice. It helped us out a lot. They're doing more business, which means more mushrooms are going through. So we had a restaurant that was ordering 1 to 2 cases a week, like pre-COVID. Now post-COVID, they are 3 to 4 a week, sometimes 5 or 6. So just that kind of thing. What would you look for if you were buying new property? I'd want it to be away from a city, about an hour away. That's pretty much it right now. If you mean
the mushroom business,
yeah. Do you mean mushroom business, or do you mean
or a detached garage, or
yeah? So fish in the Midwest. I know that it's going to be later in the chat, but if you could specify, talking about commercial business, or are we talking about like a side business, a hobby business? Or are we talking about you would like to live and farm in the same place? Just give me some details of what you want.
We only live on a quarter.
We live on half an acre.
We have the basement. It's burned on 3 sides. Burned. Oh my gosh, that has.
Oh yeah.
We really like the fact that it's buried on 3 sides.
John Grady said, "I'm so glad I painted my lids and rings so they will last a long time in the face of this shortage." No kidding, John. So I have always been. I see it. It's above.
You're gonna be chasing that fucker.
I'm gonna get it.
Probably because those bananas and apples and oranges.
I'm gonna get that one. There it is. Wait. Shh. Ha! No! He got away. Dang it. Okay. Sorry, the chat jumped during that.
This is how we work on our days off.
So what I was going to say, John, about the shortage is I used to be very much like, okay, guys, right now we're building the mushroom industry, churn and burn. But right now with the shortages and COVID, we are definitely going, okay, now we need to start being more resilient minded with the election and more COVID stuff, Europe shutting down again, everything else. Your business needs to be built on resiliency at this point. Everything you can do to, what's that saying your family's got? Recycle, reuse.
They have a bunch of things. Recycle, reuse.
No, I don't remember.
Resiliency.
I don't remember. Your mom's got something that she always says. It's not waste, not want. It's something like, oh.
You're going to kill your computer.
I'm not going to kill my computer. If it goes dark, it's because I shut the computer out. Ha! Got him. All right. So.
Well, sure you scared off any fly in 8 hours.
Good. Flies. Ugh. Are your mushrooms in any of your local grocery stores? If so, how does that relationship work versus restaurants you work with? Sorry, Samantha's going to go deal with the children getting loud and arguing. No, I don't have any mushrooms in grocery stores. I stay away from grocery stores as much as possible. If I want my mushrooms to interface with the public, what I'm doing is I'm creating online CSAs. People can order, and then they can pick up at certain designated locations. We have a storefront now that we're working on where people can come buy mushrooms from us. And, we just keep our prices on retail pretty high, about $20 a pound. But we do it a flat $20 a pound no matter the strain and type. And that's just really what we have to work with. Grocery stores require a lot more regulation. So I kind of skirt regulation as much as possible, just because it's a lower investment amount in the beginning, and it allows you to break profit. And then when you finally have to move into those spaces where regulations required, you've got money to do it with.
And we're still growing. We're still small.
Oh yeah, we're still small. So even with the warehouse, our grow room only is about 100 square feet more than our grow rooms downstairs in the basement. The big difference is we're going to be building 2 more of those rooms. But the first year, we've been paying for the warehouse and this just off that one grow room. And the online sales, of course, that you guys have been so kind as to do. But the grocery store side of things, we would have to go in and follow all kinds of different protocols. Like we'd have to have check valves on everything, right? Everything. It would just basically every little piece of infrastructure we have would have to have that much more regulation, that much more requirements put on it. And I don't have a lot of time to go through all the regulations myself. I mean, I'm already so overwhelmed with communications and trying to do supply reorders. I barely grow mushrooms anymore. And
T-shirt suppliers, by the way,
yeah, our T-shirt suppliers are in the toilet.
I guess where they got a lot of their T-shirts from China or wherever. I'm not sure where they got them.
I don't know. I can barely hear you. Hey man, hope all is well. Just wondering what RH you keep your room at. So I usually keep a low of 65% and a high of around 85 to 90%. I will tweak it a little bit, high and low end, depending on what season we're in. But I like my humidity to build up really high and then dry out pretty decently. But I mean, we rarely get below 50% humidity here in East Tennessee. So you're welcome, John. I have one fan filter in one fan filter. What? I have one fan/filter in one fan/filter. Out, still getting leggy, big blue. Oh, one fan filter in, one fan filter out. So, still getting leggy, big blue oyster mushrooms. Okay, so the question, so take the filters off, depending on what you're doing. But vent straight outside. You don't need to filter the air going into the room. Filters will slow your fans down very quickly, especially the fan out. And it's CO2 buildup that's causing your mushrooms to get leggy, not available oxygen. So your oyster spores are going to plug up that filter. I mean, when I tried filters, it was every day, multiple times a day, 2 or 3 times a day. I'd have to change that filter to keep my airflow up. But also, you're going to need to know the CFM, the cubic feet per minute of your fan, and the cubic feet of your room, so that you know how often your air is being exchanged. I do have a ventilation video that you can go check out. How often do you stir them and how heavy? At which temperature do you store your liquid culture? How often do you stir them and how heavy? Okay, so I stir it as high, without throwing the stir bar. I'd go as high speed as I can without throwing the stir bar. I have 114 cultures in liquid culture right now. That's quart jars alone. Then I have some half gallons that I pull more common, like the King Blue and stuff from. I try to stir everything every day. Usually the weekend I skip. So 5 days a week, every jar gets stirred, roughly 3 to 4 minutes a day, but really whipped. Hey, Yggdrasil. Shaju, you're welcome. Mortal Virus says, Jay Bear, I have a 48 by 48 by 80 inch tent. I have a fan on my foggery running 24/7 at top, 2 waterproof fans inside for circulation, and exhaust fan at the bottom 6 to 5 times an hour. Hope it helps. I've tried boiling oat wood chips for agar liquid, and I think that impacted my hericium producing much again. Sounds like it takes time too, like you said. It does take time. It's very oak wood chips. I got you. Not oat wood chips. I was very confused. It does take time. Hericium's actually a kind of a tricky one on agar. It's all about timing. It's all about that flow and that timing. You want to time everything just as well as you can. Selecting for in the right section of the dish. I always select away from fruits if I can. That kind of stuff. But
sometimes it takes longer, and you just have to be patient and wait. And build in resilient systems that make up for that time.
Yep. Jay Bear says, thank you. Yeah, you're welcome. Who has the pile of jars? That would be Superior Mycology. Maybe they'll ship us some. That would be great. Though if they don't have the rings and lids. Yeah. Yeah, who's got the pile of jars?
Who's got the pile of lids and rings?
Yes, who's got the pile of lids and rings?
We're having to reuse art. So someone mentioned painting theirs, and I would really like to figure out what they're painting it with.
Lance says, nice comeback from the you don't know comment. I'm confused. Driving home. Be right back. No worry, John.
Be safe.
Yes, be safe. Also, have you ever used olive oil to prevent rust on jar lids? I have not, but I might try it now. Yes, Yggdrasil, all is well. Did I not get that fly, or is that another fly? Yeah, Yggdrasil, everything's going well. I would be better if I could get some jar lids, but other than that, business is booming. So it's like at a frothy, furious pace. Man, what is this?
Andrew.
What is that? I'm not.
Is that from your glasses? Earlier?
It may be from my glasses. One of the kids did kick me in the face with glasses on earlier, so maybe it's.
Probably.
I live in the Pacific Northwest, and there are a lot of people selling fresh and wild mushrooms to the gourmet places. I'm afraid I will not be able to get a contract. Ideas? Well, depending on what quality they have, you could always focus on quality. I'm always kind of hesitant to try to get into a price war. That said, price wars are going to come eventually. The question is,
stick to your guns as much as you can. Though.
You do. So if you sell at a higher price than anyone else, you'll get fewer sales. It will be harder to build your base, but if it allows you to slow down and focus on quality, if you can slow down and really focus on quality, then you can justify your high prices.
Everyone we have ever known who has tried to speed things up and really drop their prices, and they thought that the more they could produce, the bigger that they could get, the more they could move, blah, 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 they've gone out of business.
Yeah. Because, well, then you can't compete. So I'm selling my mushrooms. I should have, we started low and went high, which is why I always tell everybody to start your prices high and go low. But I was a hippie back then.
Stupidly low.
Yeah, we were like $2-3 a
so
pound.
So low that people were suspicious.
That's right.
I'm not joking.
They're like, why are these mushrooms so low priced? And I was desperate for $1, and we just kept lowering the price until Samantha and I were like, we're about to quit. What do we do? Let's just try raising the prices.
We were also very idealistic, and we wanted everybody to be able to afford food.
We were like, mushrooms are in every person's food, and they grow on agricultural wastes. So it should be simple to just, and you know what? We should have just kept the prices high. I did not, never my mind did I think that wanting everybody to be able to afford mushrooms would be a bad idea. But obviously I didn't understand basic economics back then, because I was too much of a hippie. But, it is what it is. That said, keeping your prices high, focusing on quality. I mean, you don't go ridiculously high, just reasonably high. Enough to justify the fact that you go slower than everybody else and you produce a quality product. That allows you to build a system that will reinforce that quality product, so that when you bring employees on, you have a resilient system producing quality product for you. Because eventually, right, all of us are not wanting to do this forever, right? This is a way to enrich ourselves in order to do more good with our lives, to do more fun things, to spend more time with your family, to be able to provide better for your family, right? And so you really want to take it slow, build your base slow, keep your prices high,
and not ridiculously high.
Yeah, that's what I just said. Yeah. So, reasonably high.
I have my own project over here, and I'm getting
she gets lost. She's doing a bunch of artwork on the computer right now. So, oh my gosh, it jumped again, guys. Lots of thanks for sharing your experience. Absolutely, Max. I miss the Pacific Northwest this last time of year. Azurensis. Okay, I've never had that, but I do love the Pacific Northwest. I haven't been since I was in high school, I think. But man, I loved those wet woods. Repurpose, reuse, recycle. Thank you, Tracy. That is what she, Samantha, my mother-in-law says.
That's true.
Property for commercial production of gourmet mushrooms. Okay, so you want commercial production. So retail industries are being slaughtered right now. So just look for some warehouse space. The online stuff is killing retail before COVID, and now with COVID, even more so. You can find retail space almost anywhere cheap, and then rent it. That's what we did with Lease It. I wouldn't purchase it, just lease it. Not very many people know this, but many, the path to wealth, I was told by a fairly wealthy person, was the rich own nothing. They control everything. So if you want to get more wealth in your life, don't worry about owning something, because then you have to pay for it. No, control it. So take that for what you will. I asked you a while ago about if you ever do tours of your operations. So do you, Jay? Not really. We do mentorships. We do have people come by for classes. We do have people hire me for private tutoring on mushrooms. If you do those, of course, you get a tour. But otherwise, I try to minimize the amount of foot traffic I have through my grow rooms, through my labs. If you want to see a tour, you can always check out my YouTube channel. I'll be doing an update on the farm very soon as well. So you guys can see Christopher. Christopher's our new walk-in. That was Ben's idea. Ben named our walk-in Christopher Walken. So, but
I didn't get it at first either. For those of you who
no,
didn't.
Samantha did not get it for a long time. Hey, Dune!
I thought maybe it was Christopher, like kept things cold and crispy. I don't know. It didn't make sense.
Dune, you excited about the new movie coming out, or are you suspicious? Because I am suspicious. What do you use to build your grow rooms? Is it just wood and plastic walls? I see you, son. No.
Oh
Boy. Somebody's a teenager and starting to feel it. All right, that's enough. What do you use to build your grow rooms? Is it just wood and plastic walls? Yep, wood and plastic walls. We have 2x4s with plastic on either side and then insulation on the in-between. Just had some reishi tea and it was nice, but it made me feel drunk. It was therapeutic, though slightly psychedelic too. I think I'd simmered a big, dried out mushroom slice for like 3 hours. I grew myself. So a lot of people, yeah, we can see your hair. So Tyler, I have the same experience with turkey tail. I have to be careful with how, oh my gosh, do not serve me sassafras and turkey tail together. Last time I had that, I slept for like 14 hours and had the most apocalyptic dreams I have ever seen. I was standing on a highway in the middle of a desert and just saw atomic bombs going off everywhere in the distance. It was not the most fun I've ever had. And I don't know why, but I've had that too, where certain medicinal mushrooms just affect me almost like a psychedelic experience. It's weird. But it happened whenever I took turkey tail and sassafras and took a big pot and boiled it down to a decoction that was almost syrupy, and then took that and then added sugar and things like that to it and made a drink out of it. And Ben and I both drank it and had some weird experiences. Thank you for your video on sterilizing spawn bags. Absolutely. I hope it helped. Thanks for doing the streams. I'm wondering your opinion on how important it is to add yeast to agar. I can't seem to get strong mycelium for the life of me unless literally drop in a colonized grain. Quinn, I don't know. I don't always add yeast. In fact, I rarely add yeast. In fact, I mean, like it's really, really rare.
You're not adding yeast?
Well, I mean, I don't know. For all I know, when I'm making it up, I'm getting beard yeast everywhere. But oh man, now it's almost like rosy colored. Look at that. It's all like my face is. It's like they're looking at me with rose-colored glasses. So, Quinn, I don't really know what to do for you on that one. I don't think it's that important to add yeast. Do you has-been used spent grain like substrate? I've never tried it, Armando, but I think that you could. Thanks, I'll contact. Yeah, absolutely, Jay. No worries. I just got to know. Oh my gosh, what is going on with this chat?
What happened?
I don't know. It jumped. Just out of the notification that you was on. Rocket City Mushrooms here. Hey, Joshua, Rocket City. Is that, remind me of where Rocket City is again. Is that in Alabama? Because I was thinking that you and I were talking and that you were in Alabama, like Huntsville area, where I actually have, you guys want to see something cool? Give me 1 second. Samantha, entertain these people. Song and dance.
Hi. Andrew, don't leave me.
Answer a question.
Oh, where are you?
Where's who? I don't know. Read it.
Where are you? I know you're
Just
behind
talking
me,
to
literally, but
Just talk.
I'm
Call
better
help
at
me.
this. Which question I'm going to answer?
Let Collier talk to him.
that's what's
Hey,
what's happening.
Samantha?
Yeah,
Never mind, I found it.
Hey, you found it. I don't have to talk
you're
anymore.
just distraction right here.
Yes.
All right, goodbye.
This is why Andrew's the face of the company and not me. Just saying.
That was excruciating.
I'm sorry.
And he had to watch that.
I made this book in high school at the request of my teacher. Is this it? It is it. Okay. So didn't you do this?
Yeah.
That's what I thought. Samantha drew this for me while I was puking my brains out. So Samantha did that. I asked for a coat of arms and showed her some pictures, and she drew that for me back in high school. So that was my family coat of arms that should be made up.
And Aislinn drew this.
And Aislinn drew that. But I know everybody loves Ben, and I'm going to get back to the questions. Just give me a second to find this. Give you guys some elevator music since Samantha won't talk to you.
Oh.
Um,
Okay. I tried.
I love mushrooms, don't you? Watch our numbers like completely collapse. Do that. All right, look. It's me with a dinosaur cake. I was all obsessed with dinosaurs. Still am. All right, here I found it. Check that out. That is a picture of me in the dorky purple windsuit. Ben with his awesome jacket. Ben's in the center there. That's little Ben, little bearded Ben, who's not bearded there, and my grandfather. And we are down at the Space Museum in Huntsville. Yeah, he can show me. Like, look at that dorky face of mine. Look at that. I'm just so in love with being there with my two favorite people that I am just dorked out. Can you relay that on the other side of the table? All right. So let me get back to that. Where was the? All right. So is it really that hard to sell to grocery stores? If you could just say some more about that regulations rules about to go down the pipeline with Whole Foods. So Tyler, it kind of depends on how they're going to sell them. If you have to pre-package them, then you have a lot more regulation. If they're just going to buy them bulk, then that's a lot easier. Now you'll have to have certain insurance requirements. But I mean, I think you can get like 10 million in insurance for like $250 or something like that. I don't have that much. I've got a 1.5 million for mine because that was what was required to sell to certain corporations that I sell to. It depends on how much money you're making, how much poundage you're selling, what the restaurant requires, and it's going to depend on your state. Tennessee is pretty lax, so I really don't have to deal with federal regulations. And Tyler, just to let you know, like I'm a super just anti-authority kind of guy in general, and so I just stay away from regulations as much as possible. It is much to the chagrin of Samantha, who probably would like it if I followed rules a little bit more. It's also why she's in charge of mushroom production, and I am not. I'm in charge of strain production now. So the comment was, you don't know. The comeback was that I know of. Sorry, Lance. That was like 5 minutes ago, and my mind is mush. Hey there. Had my first flush of life days ago. Brown oyster are top, meaty, and juicy. I love most of the brown oysters. Missing info about what to do between first flush and second flush. Keep a fruiting room. Don't do anything. Just let it flush again. Most oysters will just flush on their own. Thanks for all your videos. Your content made me grow like it is easy. Good. Good. Because it is. It's easy and fun. All these commercial growers that get out there and they're just like, you can call yourself a mushroom farmer when you have experienced more pain in your life than you can ever imagine. Then you're a mushroom farmer. And it's like, no. Why would you do that? Why? Why would you ever want to grow mushrooms if it was painful?
You really don't have to torture yourself.
No. That's why you go slow. Keep your prices high. Let things come to you. Go with the flow, guys. Like it is. I read in one of Trey Cotter's books that he uses grain spawn and sterilized mineral oil for long-term low-temp storage. I have not tried that. I do know some people who have tried it, though they stored in glycerin, and they said that it didn't really work out well for them. That it kind of worked, but wasn't really useful for any other thing. So Jay says, "God, Lo, gotcha. Come visit." Yeah, come visit. You can always come and buy mushrooms off of us, and oftentimes when people buy mushrooms from us, they can kind of talk their way into peering into the grow room. But is it wise to start off on a lot of different types of mushrooms or focus on a few? If you're starting out growing mushrooms, start off on a few. Get really good at growing good quality ones of those. Systematize it, create SOPs, standard operating procedures, and then work your way into another one, and then another one. It's every strain. Like a lot of people don't realize this. An oyster is not an oyster, is not an oyster, is not an oyster, is not an oyster. Each one requires its own set of educated eye. So like the mother of pearl is a tricky one. Mother of pearl is really easy to grow. If you want a good yield, it's a little trickier. You got to let that mushroom grow till it looks almost like it's going to be way too mature. And then it's like it's losing its blue color, and you start to feel this desperation to pick it. No, you have to wait. Wait until the mother of pearl is way past prime. Let it flip up. It'll grow gigantic, and it'll grow meaty. It's amazing. What's up? Right? Exactly.
Because it kind of irritates you, right? For a little bit.
Yes, the pearl irritating the clam.
Yeah, exactly.
What's up? New on your channel, like the vids. Thank you, Lord Philly. I appreciate it. Atreides in black. I don't know. Yeah, John, I get you there. The Atreides were black and green in the book. So as long as they have green, I'm okay with it. Because that was the Atreides color, black and green. In fact, my new side project, my little passion project, Ben and I and Samantha are starting. I'm planning a color scheme in black and green. Jay Bear. Okay, thanks. Love the updates. Absolutely, Jay. I wish I had more videos for you guys. And in fact, that's been on the discussion of the owners board. We've been discussing more videos and a new strategy and how I want to get videos going. But it is just for every video I put out, I put in hours and hours to get it, and I need to figure out a way. TR Davis of Earth Angel Mushrooms does a great job of just pulling up the camera, doing a single take, and showing you guys information. What the fungus does, some similar things. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out how do I produce good quality videos for you guys and produce a good quantity. And I'm having a hard time balancing the two. And plus I get burnt out pretty easy. So to run humidity nonstop at a 3-disc humidifier would not cut it if the grow room is 4x4, 7 foot. What do you recommend? John, contact John at House of Hydro. So just send the House of Hydro a question and tell them I've got a 4x4 by 7 foot room with an airflow, whatever your airflow planning, right? If you're planning on replacing your air every 2 minutes or once every 2.5 minutes, then you need to give them that CFM, right? So I want to replace I want this running this fast. What do you recommend? I promise you, John Broadhead of House of Hydro will get you the right thing. The spice must flow. Oh my goodness. Good to see you guys live. I've watched tons of your videos. Happy you guys are doing well during the China virus. Yeah, me too. It's East Tennessee. God bless East Tennessee. We are Bill Lee. I have never cared who a governor is, but I do like how Bill Lee's handled this stuff. Could you explain now exactly Primordia formation? What do you mean explain it? Like, what does it look like? How do I get it? I need more information. So Joshua says Huntsville, Alabama. Yeah, okay. So that picture of Ben and I was from Huntsville. Could you explain how exactly Primordia formation happens? Thank you. You've already qualified it. I don't know. It basically becomes it's in Paul Stamets' book. I think it's The Mushroom Cultivator, his book he wrote back in the 80s. Great book, by the way. Paul was on stuff 30, 40 years before everybody else was. Like, he knew where it was going. Never have understood the Paul Stamets hate that is so prevalent in the mushroom community. That said, basically what it becomes is, so you have mycelium growing, right? Let's say at the bottom of the screen is, you got hyphae coming up like that, right? As the hyphae come up, you get little filler hyphae that grow in. So you get your leading edge, and then you got little fillers that come in. Now, when the mushrooms have sensed, I don't know, I can't tell you how they sense it, but when they have decided that this is a good place to form, that mycelium will thicken and thicken and thicken and just overlay until you have, what a lot of people don't realize is that when you have a primordia and you have a mushroom, those have, that mushroom, all the cells in that mushroom were already in that primordia. What has happened is those cells have stretched and expanded with water pressure. The mycelium has these little gates in it that act like one-way valves. And so they water in, but water doesn't come back out. Right? And they just continue to expand and expand. And that is how a primordia turns into a mushroom. It's just basically water pressure. Enough water pressure that many mushrooms, I have seen where mushrooms have grown through, I cloned a reishi like this one time. It busted through concrete, asphalt. I mean, not concrete, but asphalt. So that is a little bit of primordia. I don't know if I answered your question. Cheap place to get rye. Typically farmers co-ops. Not consumer co-ops, farmers co-ops. Though consumer co-ops might be able to get you some too. Scott Holiday, hello. I'm kind of new to your channel. Well, welcome to my channel. I've learned a lot from your videos. I have tried a few times to call for some information about purchasing some of your products, only to find no one will answer. I am so sorry, Scott. Yeah, even when I delete my voicemail, it becomes full. I get so many phone calls a day. It is unreal. The easiest way to get a hold of me is via email. So the contact us form, it might take me 2 or 3 days to get back to you because I get overloaded on the emails too. And sometimes I just have to sit down and do a power session to get through emails. So just recognize that I'm the only one handling correspondence right now. I am completely overwhelmed until I can get an assistant hired. That said, I am on the lookout for a personal assistant. So Scott, I really apologize, man. If you can, in fact, the business line does take text, and I can answer text much easier than I can answer the phone half the time. Any special ingredients you use for grains or substrate? No, I mean, I just use oats for my grains. Substrate, I use 50-50 hardwood fuel pellets and soy hull pellets. Josh says, that's awesome. I love to see that connection between here and there. Thanks, man. Yeah, it's cool. Like, I used to live, I just need that flight to land right there. I already have a shot charged for it. That's awesome. I pass that every Sunday going to Mid-City Farmers Market I live in. Really? You and Joshua, so Tyler Gregory, Joshua Marsh, you guys apparently live near each other. That's cool. That's a big area with a lot of money. I would love to take a crack at that. And Raleigh, North Carolina. Oh my gosh. Anyone who lives in Raleigh, start a mushroom farm. How much superior mushroom? So this is either Roan or his wife, and I'm not sure which one, but I'm going to assume it's Roan. How much did you have to give away before it really kicked off? Here in North Dakota, I have a lot of people ask me, what is it? What do you do with it? Usually if I give away one box, I'll get that guy for that chef. I've only had 2 chefs turn me down. But I'm really selective. Like, I really do my research on every restaurant. I'll get on that restaurant and I'll read about it. But usually I give away 1 10-pound box, and then I've got so think about this. If you take, just do the calculator so I can focus on 2 different things at once. But let's say that you calculate an $80 box of mushrooms, and you times that by 52 because you're selling it for 52 times a year. That is over 4. Why is that backwards? Oh, right. That's $4,160 a year. Every restaurant you get signed on at $80 a case is $4,160. And if your profit margin's like mine, which is about 85% on mushrooms, what is that? You multiply times 0.85, $3,536 a year profit. That's incredible. So if you take 10 restaurants, that's $35,360 a year in profit. There's your wages. I mean, granted, you're not like living super rich, but doing 100 pounds a week, that's like your first goal as a commercial farmer. So, I mean, that's just bam, right there. And if you do like our farm in the basement, 800 square feet for our entire operation, we were averaging 600 pounds a year. 600 pounds a week for the year. Some weeks in the winter, deep winter, we'd have like 900 pounds a week. In the summer, it'd go down to like 400 or 500 sometimes. You have 600 pounds. So if I take that 35,360 and I multiply it by 6, you're looking at $212,160 a year out of a 800 square foot space. I mean, I don't think those margins will be around forever, but it's incredible. So I really think that if you just focus on getting that person hooked on a 1 case per week order, and really just tell them like, hey, look, if you're only going to order a case or 2 at a time, and you're never going to tell me when to expect it or whatever, I really have to focus on my restaurants that are ordering 1 case a week. And 1 case a week's not bad for a restaurant. And in fact, a lot of times what I've done is I've been like, hey guys, I want to stop chasing specials. Let's do this case a week. Let's just sign up for it. And I hate to say it, but if you guys get more than you need for that week, then you throw it away or you do something with it. And a lot of chefs have just put us on the menu. They just create a meal around our product. And I can't tell you how many restaurants have done that. So not off the top of my head. I'm back home at the laptop now. I heard about the psychedelic reishi turkey tail tea, the dreams of a desert and nuclear bombs. You mentioned Dune just before that. I think mushrooms are the spice. So, John, I don't know if you know this. Did you know that Frank Herbert and Paul Stamets knew each other? A. B. Frank Herbert loved shrooms. C. Frank Herbert wrote the sandworm life cycle around the life cycle of mushrooms, the spice life cycle, and he wrote about the spice trance as a product of having taken trips. Dune is all about mushrooms. So when you're isolating, oh no, quit jumping. Oh my goodness, where am I at? Okay. When you're isolating new strains from spores, what percentage do you find worth keeping after you fruit them out, and what percentage do you discard? Quinn, I don't know. I breed mushrooms very differently than most people do. I have no idea how many don't make it through the churn as a percentage. Like, I don't know. I just grow and grow and grow, iteration after iteration, until I see one. I'm just like, man, I like that. And I've got so many that I've got to grow out, take pictures of, get descriptions made up of, and get on the website. And I just haven't gotten there yet. But I've got, like I said, I'm nowhere near this on the website, but 100 and something strains in liquid culture right now. And I don't know. Sounds like cannabis farmers laugh at myself. I don't know what you mean by that, Yuseyo. T.R. Davis literally said he was a Marine, has done multiple Ironmans, and growing mushrooms is the hardest thing he has ever done and made him cry manly tears. So here's the thing. It was hard for me in the beginning too. It's hard when you're doing it wrong. If you slow down, think about what you're doing, systematize, and just lean into the easy, and I hate to say it, easy stuff, because I realize that I'm the big bulbous mushroom farmer. I'm the fat guy out of all the mushroom farmers, but I've been to TR's place. TR is a fantastic guy. He's incredibly gracious as a host. He's a beautiful person. And he's one of the most welcoming people that you can come across. He's also a good businessman. He's a really good businessman. But I think that being a Marine has made him not afraid of work. And therefore, he will just work and work and work and work and work. And I think here lately, he's been doing a lot more self-care. I've seen him out in the woods a little bit more, back and forth on Facebook, and that's good because that'll give him some downtime. But I don't think he values downtime as much as I do. And that there's nothing wrong with that. TR is welcome to run his business however he wants, and it's good that he's not afraid of work. I literally, with my autoimmune condition, can't work so much that I get stressed to the point that because then I'll have a bigger setback. So, but I've cried mainly tears too. About the time when we did our Kickstarter, and then when we figured out that our Kickstarter, like to send the rewards out, was going to cost 3 times as much as what the rewards were, we sent out what rewards we could, and then some of them we made an announcement like, guys, we are struggling with this. There's just no way we can do this. It's costing us money to run this Kickstarter. We had a ton of people just tell us, just take it as a donation. Thank you so much. We're just happy to support this. And that was so thankful. I mean, I think we sent out like 1/3 of the rewards, but then it quickly became apparent we lost money on it. So, and about that time I had people calling, I had orders coming in. I mean, I had 2 panic attacks, from that. Like, it was just, I had done everything wrong. And
we
then
had hate mail. We had people threatening to come after our family.
Right.
Like, it was insane.
It was rough.
I will never do that again.
No, God, no. And I will never take money again, ever. Like that. Like, that is not the way we do it anymore. Oh my gosh, that was just a terrible experience. But I definitely had a couple of panic attacks. I cried a couple of times. It got to the point where the phone would ring, and I'd like, oh my God, like it would hurt.
That said, I still have that list. I still have every single one of those people, and I still have every intention of making sure they get something.
Yeah.
What they get and more, or what they paid for and more.
Any past experience with cubes, if you ever come out to dinner, would love to have you by. Earth Mycology, come out to dinner where? I'd love to come out. I want to connect with more mushroom people. I'm seeing a lot of people form these like connections. I just feel like I'm out here in East Tennessee, I'm so far away from people. It's kind of hard to connect. I would love to have more and more people around and collaborating. I'd love to do videos with other mushroom farmers. So if anybody ever wants to do any of that stuff with me, let me know. Go to the contact us form on my website and just let me know that you want to collaborate, that you want to do some videos together, you want to do whatever. I would love to be working with more people. Any past experience with cubes? I don't know that I want to answer anything like that on a live stream. Also on the Dune movie, I hope it's good, but the Atreides in all black put me off a bit. Yeah, John, I mean, it kind of gave me this feel of like they're going for the cool factor. That said, it's cool for a reason. So I don't know, man. I've got high hopes. I'm going to just refuse to get down on it. I'm going to let it one more time. I'm going to give a movie a benefit of the doubt and allow it to disappoint me. TR is on a super big grow operation level. I can see why it would be hard for him. So he actually, from my understanding, makes way more blocks than mushrooms. He doesn't grow that many mushrooms. He's much more of a mushroom supplier now, even though he does grow mushrooms. I've been to his place. Now, granted, that was a couple years ago now, so I've been out to his new op, but it was before he had done a lot of the work that he's done now. That said, he actually doesn't have that much more grow space than I have. We grow about the same amount of mushrooms, but at least we were, and I believe that we still are. But he does way more blocks than I do by a long shot. He produces way more blocks. So if you think about it on that kind of level, between all the farms that he distributes to, he's a huge grower. So what do you do with leftover extra mushrooms? Usually I use those. If I produce extra mushrooms every week after week after week, we use those that's proof positive that we were producing too much and therefore can take on new clients. You all right there, baby? Oh. What was I saying? Oh, the on a distribution level. Yeah, he does way more blocks than I do. I'm not a huge block producer. I do a lot of liquid culture and a lot of strain development. So in fact, I think he's got a couple of my strains now. Extra mushrooms. Sorry, the extra mushrooms. Like I said, guys, my brain is mush these days. If you're producing too much week to week, that's what you use for your samples. Otherwise, right now what Samantha and I are doing, and I'm almost a little bit embarrassed to admit this, but we are drying mushrooms, putting them in Mylar bags, putting them in 5-gallon buckets, and then putting them in our long-term food storage.
We're feeding them to the geese.
And we do feed them to the ducks and geese. Our ducks love mushrooms, so we get a lot of that. Oh shit, you know their family colors? You're even more on it than I am. Yeah, John, I love Dune. I reread Dune once a year. So Superior says, the painful mushroom thing. I know who you are talking about. Me and him have the same last name. Am I right? It's hard. Oh, did he see the one that said that? Shit, now I feel kind of bad about saying it like that. It is hard some days. I love it. Want to mushroom farm the rest of my life. Yeah, if you want to do it the rest of your life, I'm not saying never stress out, and I'm not saying don't ever work hard. It's to me,
I'm not saying mushroom growing is an easy breezy peasy thing
yes,
to do either.
it's not unicorns and rainbows and farting roses and that kind of stuff. It's much more difficult than that. But start slow and you work your way into it. Work backwards. Work with the fruiting room, order blocks from TR, put them in a fruiting room, use that profit to build a lifestyle that allows you to do more mushroom stuff, but just every day you're doing a little bit more and a little bit more. Like, I don't know. Plan on doing it the rest of your life, which means self-care has got to be number one. If you are not functional, I know, yeah, you are just, why are you, your legs are just,
I'm bouncing because I'm figuring out a problem. I'm sorry. I'll stop.
good.
FYI, he came into my space.
I did come into her space over here. I was like, hey, I'm going to do a live stream right here next to you and bother you. I haven't seen her all day. She's been working on this project.
I'm not going to get it done in time for Halloween, but I definitely have some sketches out for next October. But the idea was to take all of the poisonous mushrooms and do a creepy, deathy, kind of spooky Halloween thing.
I like it. Especially the jack-o'-lanterns.
Yeah, after the jack-o'-lantern mushrooms.
Mm-hmm. Jay says, sounds good, Andrew, and I do want to come visit, but I meant you come visit the Pacific Northwest. I have a guest room. Only so long as I get to go out in those forests. Oh my gosh, as long as I get to go out in those forests. Yes, please. And, come hire me out for a visit. I did do Colorado. Did we do Colorado last year or the year before?
Last year.
It was last year? I love travel. I love traveling to other farms. But the Colorado farm was awesome because we get to stay up in a cabin in Vail and just, it was beautiful. I like your videos more than TR and What the Fungus. I vote don't get burned out, continue high quality. Okay, I'll consider that, John. Thank you. I think we got something that'll work, and I think you'll be pleased. Yeah, John, absolutely. You're welcome. Joshua says 5 disc works awesome for a 6x6x6 grow room. So that's what I was thinking. A 5 disc would work well for that other person's comment, but I don't know. I'm not the expert. John Broadhead's the expert. Thank you, John Van Houden. Howden? How do you say that? I wonder. Thanks for the blue oyster suggestion. I'll look into it more. Got another question. Can you clone every mushroom in liquid culture? I have 4 wild mushrooms I'm trying to clone. I mean, I don't know the answer to that. Anything that requires a living host is likely to be difficult, but I do clone a lot of things in liquid culture. So Jason Lee says, I like them all, John. They all have the knowledge we are looking for. I like to pull knowledge from multiple sources to get a better understanding. So I don't know if you guys know, but I don't always watch, but I do watch like Eric Myers, What the Fungus, and TR Davis's videos. I do, and they're probably TR's more than anyone's. Eric gets really into technical stuff, and I think Ben watches more of Eric's stuff than I do. I'm just not interested in the technical side of things. It's what it comes down to. And Eric is a technical kind of guy. I like a lot of TR's work. And What the Fungus, I like Brian a lot. I don't watch a lot of his videos. I think what happened was he was not putting out for a long time. And so I kind of got used to not watching him. I don't know that I even get notifications anymore. I want to go check and make sure my notification bell is rung. Speaking of, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell if you want notifications for when we go live and such. And such. All right. Oh my gosh. Wow. Holy crap. I'm way behind the chat. Let's do this. Let's get caught up. All right. Yeah, I love that book from Paul Stamets. I have some trouble with the Primordia with my yellow oysters. Thanks. I think now I'll keep the humidity up. Absolutely. Stamets is the best. The book, Growing Gourmet and Medicinal Mushrooms. I like that one too. He has another one called Mushroom Cultivator, which is his first book from the 80s. And that one I actually like a lot. He says stuff in that book that I think that he decided he did not want to start telling people. And so whenever Growing Gourmet and Medicinal Mushrooms came out, some of the information that was in Mushroom Cultivator is not in those. And I really like that. I just wanted to say this. Comments are welcome. I grew a pearl oyster from Mike Emporium outside, and it grew luscious dark brown caps. The impact of the sun is amazing. Absolutely, John. I think my favorite mushrooms, when we eat mushrooms, it's almost always from old blocks that were thrown out outside. Outdoor quality is amazing. And I have long thought about, and now that we have the warehouse, we were talking about setting up greenhouses to grow outdoor mushrooms during the proper seasons when it's not hard to grow them outside. Farmers co-ops. Okay, great. Yep, Jay, that'll be the best place for you. Will adding household sugar affect a plant during flower? I don't know. I don't really grow plants much. I mean, other than like aquaponic or like you know, I can see I grow stuff in the fish tank like taro and stuff. Most of that's plants that were brought in from my outdoor systems inside, and I'll save those over the winter time. They'll continue to grow and produce more plants, and then they'll go out into the ponds next year. Willing to move so I can be your personal assistant. Laughing. John, you want the job, man. You just contact me. We'll talk it over. I don't know that it's going to be wages that are worth moving across the country for or to a different country. John, aren't you in Canada? Cool. Thank you. Your oat tutorial is the simplest way I've found and the cheapest. You rock. Have a great day, man. Yeah, you too. What does the personal assistant job pay? I mean, probably $10.50 an hour, $11 an hour. However, that said, East Tennessee is like one of the easiest, just crazy. That said, the surrounding counties are still very empty, and Knoxville and Morristown are booming. We even saw a report from the state of Tennessee that was talking about Morristown was well on its way to being the next golden age Detroit. So we have a big economic boom here for anyone working. Soybean hulls don't seem economical in eastern Washington. Oh, you're in Washington. That's why I thought you were in Canada. Same thing. What supplements would you use in place of this?
Not the same thing.
If you come work for me, you must be able to take terrible humor, like cruel humor. Everyone who comes work for me has got a wicked sense of humor. And give it back. If you can't give it back, then go away with you. What supplements would you use in place of this? Could you comment on Douglas fir wood shavings? I've grown oysters on them, but unsure of hericiums. Hericiums will grow on Douglas fir. Pine pellets. I have found that bear's head, all the hericiums grow really well on pine pellets. If you can't find hardwood fuel pellets, you can find equine bedding pine pellets.
Pine petting?
Pine petting. Pine petting can grow hericium.
How much candy did you eat?
Not enough. And I haven't had hardly any beer. So, supplements. Alfalfa works. What I hear from a lot of people is 16% alfalfa, the rest of it wood pellets by weight. Another supplement I've heard of people using rabbit food, goat food. I have not experimented with those. I only recently got some alfalfa to try that out to do a video on it. I will say that we've cooked the blocks for it before, and they're kind of gross smelling, that 50-50 mix of that. Now, that was 50-50, and the last time I did alfalfa, I tried a 50-50 mix, and it did not work. Some people use cracked corn. You do have to use a lower supplementation rate. I don't know the number. I think it was 20%. So that kind of stuff. I mean, you can even use grain as your supplement. If you do just sawdust, you can spawn really heavily with oats, and you'll get a very high nitrogen content, and that works as a supplement. It's not the best supplement, in my opinion, but it's what I recommend people do if they don't have good access to HEPA filters, right? You make oat spawn using liquid culture stabbed through the injector ports, and then you only open up that bag ever when you're going straight to sawdust. Because the high nitrogen source is already encapsulated with mycelium, what contamination you do get in a sawdust bag is way less than what you would get anywhere else, because sawdust does not contaminate super easily. And you can do tons of oats in there, get that bag growing fast for fast growing species. You'll get a high nitrogen supplement from the grain, and all of your supplementation is already coated in a sterile package, and that gives you just enough headway, enough of a what's it called, head start, that you can outrun most contaminations. That's why they actually say mycelium running, right? You're running past, you're trying to get that mycelium running past your contamination. So, John Grady, I'm west in the Portland area. We should team up. That's a bit far, but I'm not against it. Send me a message if you're serious and want to talk. There you go. I will contact you. I love to see that. Good. Does more of your income come from online sales or selling direct to market? When you're saying direct to market, you mean mushroom sales? So used to be, what was it? Used to be, how did I describe it? We used to be a mushroom farm that happened to sell online. Now we're becoming an online company that happens to farm. That said, when we get the next 2 grow rooms going again, and we're selling local, it'll have, like right now we're kind of 50-50. I don't know that I want to talk about how much money I make off of it, so it's kind of hard to say. But I would say we're pretty close to 50-50 right now. That said, when we get the next 2 grow rooms going, if online sales stay steady, then we'll become a farm that happens to sell online again. If online sales continue growing at the pace they are, we'll probably become an online company. So I don't know if that answers your question, but to give you an example, I grow about 600 pounds a week of mushrooms on average throughout the year. Now it's going up above that because this is the peak season. October is always my most profitable month, period. Followed by February. That said, if I'm growing 600 pounds a week at $8 a pound, right, that gives you kind of an idea of what my yearly income is. And that's not really changed with COVID. If anything, I'm actually selling more, not less. I have not checked my numbers because this year has been so crazy that I have not done a good job at any of my accounting this year. Samantha, in fact, and I were talking about like, oh crap, our accounting is going to take more time this year than last year because it's been so crazy. Samantha's like, we need to go ahead. She was talking about that today. We need to go ahead and get on getting all of that stuff caught back up. So we literally just got power and cable back today after the hurricane. Thanks for waiting to do this until today. Yeah, Rusty, you're welcome. Where are you that you had the hurricane? Are you down in Louisiana? Scott Holiday, thank you for your response, my friend. I will try to text you, although I will continue to call. I do better at talking rather than texting. I have no computer, only my phone. Before I say, okay, Scott, I understand. Yeah, just keep calling. I apologize. I will try to be on the phone more, guys. It's just been very difficult with everything going on. Andrew, Frank and Paul knew each other? The blue eyes. I always wondered about blue bruising and mushrooms. You just blew my mind. I must contact my father at once. He has quoted Dune to me from youth. That's funny. Yeah, I like that. I've been reading Dune once a year since I was in middle school, so I freaking love it. And then I was reading Mycelium Running. It's in Mycelium Running where Paul Stamets talks about meeting Frank Herbert and them talking about Dune was written about mushrooms. Not just shrooms, but like from an ecological standpoint about the whole, like they are the basis for everything, right? Why is the mycelium on oats of Hericium looking grayish? Is it normal? I would not call it gray. It's usually white, but it's wispier. So it can look gray compared to oysters because you're just seeing more of the dark grain behind it. That said, if you're getting plain like gray on gray on gray looking and it's growing thick, that's probably black pin mold. So, hey man, I subbed like last week. Love your content. I've been growing since March. Still learning, obviously. I love growing mushrooms indoor and outdoor. I find it extremely easy. Don't know why. Some people just have the brown thumb. What you call it, the white thumb? White raw funguses, white thumb, not the brown thumb. Brown thumb sounds bad. You got a green thumb and a white thumb. So, but yeah, man, thank you for subbing and watching. I get too in love with my own humor, do I? I must also think of relevant questions to ask you. I get so excited when you make live streams. I always have questions when I'm alone, then mine goes blank when you're live. Well, I mean, you can always write down the questions and ask me later. I mentioned TR. Davis saying mush farming is hard to play the devil's advocate. Not because I agree with him. It's great to hear you contrast with his story. You and Samantha are so inspirational to me. Well, thank you, John. I appreciate that. I will say that we never look to be anyone's inspiration, but I was sitting there thinking, gosh, if we can do this, then about anybody can do this because I'm a big dummy. So she's not a dummy, but I'm a dummy.
Oh my gosh. Neither one of us are dummies. Neither are you all.
I watched a video the other day from Thailand. These brothers are Cordy specialists. They use silkworm in the recipe. What do you think about adding some sort of bug to a Cordy recipe? I think it's great. I've actually done it myself. I did it with stink bugs around here. And I got the cordyceps to pin on agar using it, making a bug agar. My favorite grain so far is popcorn. It's what I have in abundance. I love working with agar.
Do you know that silkworms eat mulberry leaves?
I did.
That mulberry trees are a hardwood?
Yep.
You could put mulberry hardwood in your agar. And like it would be a full circle cycle. How
There you
cool
go.
would that be?
Yes, mushrooms are hard. The reason I'm here is as support group like AA to reflect on all of my failures. Yeah, Lance, it can be difficult for sure. You have those days. It's just about reps. Some days you have bad reps. It's like going and working out, lifting weights. Some days you're not feeling it. Some days you're breathing fire. The important thing is you did the reps. Total noob question. Should my first move into banking be liquid cultures or agar plates? What do you mean banking?
Are you putting them back for storage?
Like, yeah, do you mean long-term storage?
Species?
Liquid cultures are probably the easiest way to do it because you can get liquid cultures to keep forever. Quote from an article in my crop science class: farmers will work harder, make less money, and have more risk than any other profession. You have to love what you do. I hear that, John. So Ben wrote a series. There's only two parts right now. We're working on the third. It's a COVID update to this, but the series is called Mycological Warfare. In that, he quotes the show Longmire. For anyone who's seen that, there's an episode where they're talking to these farmers, and Longmire asks one of them a question about, is it normally this way? And this woman says, we're farmers. Losing's a way of life. And Ben and I were so disgusted by that comment. Like, why would you ever, if you love yourself, why in the world would you ever accept being a loser? Victory. We are farmers. We are victorious.
Oh, here's another thing. Earlier, I mentioned that we didn't really know how much we had made, and I sort of kind of laughed a little bit at it. And it wasn't meant to say, okay, we've made so much money, we don't even count it, sort of thing. It was more of with that farming mentality, you grow everything. It's a way of life for you, is to have that life and that living, that living mass around you, and then everything becomes a system. Like in our backyard, I can go out at any time and pick peppers or fresh spinach or whatever.
Tomatoes and
Yeah, like it's just a proverbial, just all over the place. And
we raise fish and snails and water plants and land plants and
then whatever mushrooms we
and
can't sell, we eat. It's not like we're never in want of food, and that has always been my biggest thing. Is I don't want the children to go hungry.
What you guys may not even realize about all these plants back here. 90% of the plants in my fish tanks are edible by humans. We grow a lot of water spinach.
Yeah.
This is not that right there. I mean, this is a bad leaf to pull, but because it looks terrible. But that is water spinach. It's in the morning glory family. We eat that regularly, not every day, but
just throw it in the stir fries and stuff. It's really going from that scarcity mindset of making desperate choices, working so hard that you always put yourself behind, and then going into that building of systems and then that abundance mindset where you're worrying as the fact is, how on earth am I going to eat all of this? Or, who can I give this to? Or
as a farmer, you have to get out of the scarcity mindset. That dollars are not rare. Dollars are everywhere. The question is, how do you put in the least amount of man hours for the maximum amount of dollars?
Yeah.
That's your number one question. Not how much your substrate costs, not any of that stuff. None of that stuff matters, except that you want to make more money than what you're putting into it input-wise. But you need to value your time. Therefore, you need to track everything you do. You need to keep up with that. And then you need to go, okay, if I had to pay someone $15 an hour to do this job, how much money do I need to be charging, right? If I want to make $15 an hour as a farmer.
It also goes back to people. We've had a lot of people call us and want to volunteer their time, and something Andrew and I really like to say is that freedom isn't free. Everything has a cost, and even that giving your time freely, it still has a cost.
Yep.
And oftentimes that cost can be a greater cost than paying someone $15 an hour, helping build them up, and then winning that free time for yourself to where you can work better. You can work more intelligently. You're not as stressed or tired or worn out.
Self-care. Most farmers do not do self-care, or they do self-care very poorly. Like I said, I'm not saying that you guys never work hard, that you never stress out. This summer for Samantha and I and Ben has been a make hay while the sun shines. Normally by this time this year, I would have been on my second vacation. And we have taken 0 vacation this year. Samantha and I haven't even really taken weekends off. We've been working. However, now that it seems like so many other people are finally, like, people got so much government help. We got 0 government help. 0. None. We didn't take anything.
We didn't even take the $600 a week in unemployment.
Yeah, we didn't even sign up for unemployment. We didn't do anything for that. We just suffered. We bit the bullet then, so that we didn't have to now. And now that we've made our way through it, it's like just bam, all of a sudden my life has gotten substantially easier in the past 2 weeks.
And it helped us make smarter choices. It helped us make choices that
make that lean farm.
Yeah, it helped us make choices that we knew were going to be successful choices, not ones that were propped up, not ones that were, kind of catered to.
Oh my goodness. Look at that.
You look like Johnny Bravo.
Like Johnny Bravo, exactly. Sorry guys, sorry I went off on a tangent, I guess. Like I hate that so much. Farmers should be victorious. In my culture, we'll call it, it is customary when you leave someone that is in tribe, we'll say in culture, you say success. When you greet someone, it's success, right? That is the greeting. It's almost like aloha. It works for hello, goodbye. One of our employees is Cherokee, and he taught me the Cherokee word. It's like, I don't really know the Cherokee word for success. He's like, I don't know that off the top of my head. I was like, what about victory? And so he said, loye. Loye means victory in Cherokee. So now whenever he and I leave each other, we always say loye, right? We are not losers. Farmers are not losers. Everybody depends on us. Why in the world would we accept that position? Like, I don't know. I don't understand it. Oh, the chat's loading. That's what it is. Every time I get down to a certain point, the whole chat loads because it looks like you guys weren't talking at all. Okay, guys, I'm sorry. I'll catch up. I am really trying to.
This is our every moment.
Yeah.
Sorry, we'll catch up.
I get passionate about stuff, and it is so passionate. People, I have lived in poverty. I've lived in severe poverty. My parents did not raise me in poverty, right? I mean, we were broke growing up, but we were never poor. I definitely went through a time in my life when I was poor. Poor is a mindset. When I left my parents' house, it took me a while before I finally started developing a prosperity mindset. I definitely accepted that losership, right? But not anymore. Like, chase strength and beauty in your life. As a farmer, chase strength and beauty. I get so passionate about this. All I want is for people to live better lives. Mushrooms brought me out of poverty. I want them to do the same for you. And we have a window of time when prices for mushrooms are really high and cost of entry is really low. That's not going to happen forever. And right now is the time to get into it. And those who get into it and get established, get their name out there, their businesses built, will be the ones that are successful when you start having that competition. And that's what I want. I want everyone to be as successful as possible. Work together, cooperation. Let's not be enemies. There's a way, if someone moves into my town and they start growing oyster mushrooms, oh my gosh, my hair's still wet. Look at that. I like it.
There's questions.
Oh, there are questions. Shh. Ha! All right. Killed that fly. All right. I'm sorry, guys. Like I said, it's just a passion thing. I'm so passionate about. I want people to live a better life. Don't forget to play.
Just don't play too much.
Yeah, I'm playing too much now. I'm sorry. Doing videos would be so fun. Jay, it is. It is, and it's really not. This making videos is so stressful for me. I have this weird thing. I've got to make a video. I just have to. I make videos even for the family and for my friends and stuff, just for fun. He's not doing as much on his channel now, but I made videos for a friend of mine, Valley and Ridge Tree Care is what it was. I think he renamed it to Knox Tree Care. If you go on YouTube, you can see that stuff, and you'll see some of the videos I made for him and that Robin made for him, and I just do all kinds of like videos. But if I don't make a video for a while or do a live stream or whatever, I start getting really depressed, and then I'll finally sit down and I'll make it, and I'll feel so anxious and frustrated the entire time I'm making a video. And then I'll release that video, and you can estimate that I get like hyper excited.
I've seen this cycle.
Yeah, I'll get so excited, and then the moment I press publish, I get super depressed for like a day or two. And then the comments are rolling in, and I start reading them, and I'm like, oh man, I feel pretty good about this, right? So,
I've noticed everybody talking about this sort of stuff on like any major. Not even major, but anyone who is in the game for a while or for a long time, they kind of go on a really nice, excited spree, and then as you see their videos, they get more and more kind of tired and worried about what people think, and those negative comments sort of get to them, and it becomes this cyclical cycle that just kind of tears you down a little bit, and that's definitely something that Andrew and I have sort of struggled with, and
yeah,
I think everybody does.
Plus, I absolutely hate confrontation. Like if there's somebody out there and I think they don't like me, it just tears my heart up inside. It is so weird, but
it does.
So okay, again, moving through this. Earth Mycology says, sorry, I had to get. Oh, never mind. Jacob Howard, I booked a 1-hour session with you this weekend. Thank you, Jacob. I really appreciate that. Heck yeah, man. Let's do it. Make sure you write a bunch of questions so we can just make good use of your time.
I really took advantage of that hour.
Absolutely. Earth Mycology says, sorry, I had to get dinner. Just got caught up. I'm out in Denver. If you're ever thinking about coming out, really appreciate all the knowledge you pass along. Absolutely, man. I love Denver. I've been to Denver a few times in my life. The last time I was out there was last year, and I will say Denver smell. Yeah, I stabbed my leg. Thanks for bringing that up. I got stabbed by a knife in Denver, or just outside of Denver.
He did it himself.
Did not do it myself.
Yes,
that's not cool, Samantha. Yeah, I had a piece of wood. I was a kid, and I went out there for a retreat, and I had this little piece of wood. Here's my leg. Put it right there, and then I was like, all right, I won't cut. Let's just try that slip. And my knife went down into my leg and went dunk, and then it started going every time my heart beat or something. And I was like, oh, crap. And I was just kind of looked at it in shock, right, and didn't realize what I was doing, and I pulled it out. No, I left it in there, and I looked at my girlfriend at the time, and I went, I think I hit the bone. And she went, what? And I was like, I think I hit the bone. And she looked down, and she saw that knife just going like that. And she went, oh, my God. Oh, my God. And we were at this wilderness retreat, so we were way out, like an hour outside of Denver, way up on a mountain. And they had to rush me to a hospital. And then I got to spend the rest of the time of the retreat at a friend's house in Denver. So not great. But I will say, every time I've been to Denver, never noticed this. Went to Denver last year, and you drive down the highway with the windows closed, it smells like straight up weed all the way through Denver. Like, it is crazy. Definitely changed. So, I really hope. No, do not go out, power. Are we still on Wi-Fi? Can somebody let me know if we're still going? Can someone just say still here or something?
Your Wi-Fi's still on.
My Wi-Fi is still on.
Yes,
It's saying that I have it. I'm at the chat, so if someone can just let me know.
Maybe in the mines or something.
Yeah, we get these little explosions from the mines underneath us. Still here. Okay, awesome. I'll go back up
to the floor.
Yeah, every morning about 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning we hear, and you can feel the walls vibrate a little. Or we've got a zinc mine underneath us.
It's a little creepy.
And we have sinkholes all through our town. Like one just opened up and swallowed a few cars the other day. Just look up Jefferson City, Tennessee, sinkholes. You'll see the stories.
Yeah, they were walking out to their car actually, and then they noticed that it was
like,
at a weird angle.
They're like, why does that look weird?
And
then
took a few more steps. You could see it. They started recording it because it seemed so weird, and I guess they were afraid that someone had messed with their car, and so they were recording it, and then they walked maybe just 2 or 3 steps, and then it just went shoom.
And the car just went in and upside down, and there's a nice
Yeah.
picture of just mud and tires sticking up. But oh, you guys meant a video. Doing videos would be so fun, Jay. Yeah, absolutely. I would love to fly out to farms, video you guys and everyone's operation. Let's set this up sometime. Let's do this. I can sit on a plane with a mask for a few hours.
Yeah.
Flights are cheap right now. Anyone who wants me to go out there, contact us for them on the page. Let me know. We'll start scheduling out next year after the election. I don't want to do anything for before the election right now. And holidays. I've got a lot of holiday stuff coming up and a lot of classes. And I have not started booking next year's classes yet. So that's about to start. So anyone who wants to do classes next year needs to let me know as well. Tyler Gregory says, yeah, doing videos would be so cool. Just got in the Sand Mountain Reporter newspaper today. I love the publicity at Lakeside Mushrooms, Facebook, Gunnersville. Okay, Tyler, I'll check you out. Lakeside Mushrooms. Awesome. Alabama.
Also, when people book those classes, we go ahead and buy all the supplies for them.
Yep.
For whenever you get there. It might be a good idea to go ahead and, it's not trying to pressure anybody, but go ahead and see if you want to.
Oh, yeah, if you want the in-person consults.
In advance.
I didn't think about that with the supply
time.
issues, yeah.
That's been our majest and our
major
and most
magic
trying part right now is just ordering things and waiting on them.
Not so much a question. I'm actually in the middle of making new lids with RTV silicone right now. Just want to say I had found half a cup Ziploc containers with filter lids are great as reusable Petri plates. I have heard that a lot. For me, that's the sustainable way. I don't hate money for disposable plates. I hate time, and I don't like throwing away plastic. I feel you there, man. And I've thought a lot about reusable plates for sure. Hey, Aislinn, you're shaking the table a lot, honey. You're all right. I don't know why you're having to press so hard on it, but a little gentler. For me, that's I'm an idealist, and hopefully we can change the industry towards reusable plastics. Work as a dishwasher, and to me, the idea of washing hundreds of containers regularly is not intimidating. Yeah, so it's not intimidating to me as long as I have the infrastructure in place. For most people, the easiest way to get into the business is ordering the disposable stuff. But here's the thing. We're not going to change the business until we grow the industry to a size that people find it's worth investing money in. And you're starting to see that. There are such exciting things on the horizon for mushrooms, from sustainable containers to new strains to just weirdness beyond weirdness. Like it's going to be incredible. Oh, and what I was saying about competition earlier before the power started flickering, was that going back to that question just real quick. As far as competition goes, people like coming into a city of mine, I'm growing oyster mushrooms and hericiums right now. I have grown chestnuts and black poplars, and I don't even know how many strains, hericiums and all kinds of stuff. If somebody moves into my town, they want to start growing oyster mushrooms, let them have it. I have got the skill set to grow much more difficult mushrooms and the space now to do, like I can make a living off shiitake now, because I have the man hours available to me, and I have the space to store. Aislinn, why don't you use that other table?
I got in trouble too earlier. Don't worry.
What? That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
You're just shaking the table, and the camera's going.
You're sitting in my seat, so I'm sitting in the car.
That's fine. I'm sorry, I'm sitting in your seat.
Oh, Daddy.
Anyways, my thought is that I can grow black poplar. I can grow shiitake. So if someone comes in and grows oysters, well, I can grow a higher value mushroom with less effort than they can. So I'll go to the higher value mushroom. And every time the landscape changes, I've been here long enough that I'm able to migrate up. In fact, we're having such a hard time. We can't grow enough mushrooms for the restaurants. And we feel so bad we left markets just open. And there's no one to take our place for growing oyster mushrooms and sell them at the farmers markets. There is now.
Mm-hmm.
Who?
Possum Bottom.
Oh, Possum Bottom's no competition. I'm just saying. They fly their mushrooms in from hours away. I mean, who knows how long they go without air conditioning. And I've been told it doesn't matter. There's room for someone else in my metro to even hit just farmers markets and get $20 a pound off oysters. They can grow a quarter the amount that I am and make the same amount of money just by focusing on markets. So that's what I'll say about that.
It's very difficult to do it all.
It is difficult to do it all, which is why we would like to just lean into the part we're good at and have someone take our place at the parts that we're not as good at, but they can be good at.
multiple people leaning into their specialties, then you'll be better for it, and your customers will be better for it, and your community will be better.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, and John, on you're saying I'm an idealist and this thing, right? I'm an idealist too. Samantha's an idealist. Ben's an idealist. In fact, we took the Jungian personality types, our tests, and we did every single time. My entire group of friends gets all of the idealists every single time. The idealist section. It has led to us expecting better of others than what we always get. And so,
and expecting better of ourselves than what we are reasonably capable
of providing, yeah. Or yeah. Yes. But it's I found the cure to the problems that come with idealism is broadening your scope. Right? Because it's going to be all about perspective. So if it is sorry, it was weird. You're giving me a very Odinic perspective where it's just one eye.
Sorry, I was reading. I wasn't paying attention to
no, you're fine. So broadening your scope, right? So right now you're thinking, man, I hate throwing away all this plastic. Okay, great. Throw away the plastic. Let's take it even better. Let's take it from a what's that? Permaculture perspective. Even Bill Mollison, one of the guys that helped create permaculture, or at least made it famous, even said, use gas, use tractors, use oil to set up a sustainable farm. In fact, you can set up sustainable farms more quickly using the solutions that other people use on the long term, but you can use it on the short term to set up a much more productive system much faster. That's what we're doing here. We're throwing away the plastic. We hate that we're doing it, but we're doing it to build an industry that will attract investment. There's your scope. There's your idealism, right? Now your idealism is still there, but it's a much more functional idealism and much more economically incentivized idealism.
You're laughing at that?
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
How are the Maitake trials going? How big do fruit get on your blocks? We get about 2 pounds off our blocks.
Right now we're just kind of letting them go in antler form.
So yeah, that's what I was about to say.
likes.
We grew out mushrooms, and they grew out well, and they sold well. But a lot of the chefs were like, it's just kind of a sub-quality Maitake. I'd rather just deal with my wild Maitake once a year. Something that I found very useful is we grow these Maitake in the bag, not even in the grow room, just in the airlock now. Just let them grow, let them form, and they'll grow this very antlerish, warty-looking way about them, and they're very gray and velvety. So what I did was I started selling these mushrooms as antler velvet mushrooms. And antler velvet mushrooms sell for $150 a case. It takes about 3 or 4 blocks to grow, same as Maitake, same price as Maitake. But because the chefs are getting something different, it's very tender compared to regular Maitake, and they are going crazy for it. Whereas with the Maitake, it was like, it's okay, but it's not really my thing. They're getting a product that is actually easier for me to grow, and they like better. So, plus the name antler velvet mushroom. There you go. What, baby?
It's a bit of a no-brainer.
Yeah. John, last one, Lowell. On the note of mushroom videos, I watch absolutely everything. I just happen to really love Mossy Creek. Thank you, John. I appreciate that. It's the only channel that does live streams, for example, and is extremely generous. Oh, thank you, man. I appreciate that. How do you glue the syringe filter on the jars? With a substance called RTV silicone.
What'd you say?
It's a high temp silicone. It's red.
You said that is too daddy generous, but he's my daddy bear.
I'm generous, but I'm your daddy bear. And I'm more generous with you than I will be with other people. If you want to work for me, you must be able to handle terrible humor. I was laughing my ass off when you said Washington and Canada are the same thing. Mine, yeah, oh my gosh. Yeah, oh Lord. I'm going to get sued one day. I know it. Mine goes just off in sterilizer. Yeah, use the high temp RTV silicone. I'm packing my stuff up as we speak. Not really, but like 99.99% ready to do that. 1050 works for me. John, if you're serious, man, contact me. I need a personal assistant very badly, and I'll teach you everything I know while paying you to help me do my job.
And the fact of it is we are I don't know. COVID was a really weird thing for us.
COVID did not make sense. The business side, we had a 2-week slump where I thought the world had ended. And then the website just went like that. And then the next thing you know, the restaurant sales just like that. With half as many restaurants.
Well, we leaned into the restaurant. We leaned into the website thinking that we had completely lost the restaurants. And then now we're almost back up to the capacity that we were pre-COVID. And then now we have the website on top of what we were doing before. And
Yeah.
we're growing faster than what we anticipated. And
I mean, it's
now
kind
we're
of
a bit overwhelmed.
Brian at the What the Fungus told me the website. Then he said, "Man, that you'll never." He said that YouTube channel will be what was it? He said he gave me some advice on videos like a year or two ago, and then he's like, "Man, it'll just change things for you doing an online store." And he was right. Like, I mean, we were making good money working 20 hours. Each of us were working 20 hours a week doing the downstairs op. So it'd take 40 man hours total, including deliveries. We were going on date days together, where delivery days were date days, where we would go and deliver and then go get a meal at one of our restaurants and then come home. And I mean, we were pulling in about $5,000 a week just when we were working. Now that's not profit. That's gross income, not profit. So
yeah, that's not taking out the expenses and rent and water, and
right,
electric and all that good stuff.
But that said, we were living very comfortably, but we wanted to expand. We wanted to get bigger, and that expansion comes with taking all that money that you've saved up from that and then spend it on warehouse and build up and man hours. Really, I mean, we just a lot of man hours. So I don't remember where we were going with that. But how do you glue the syringe filter on the jars? Okay, yeah, RTV silicone, like I said. I'll catch the replay later. Just wanted to hop in and say hello. Hope you guys are doing well. Thank you, Derek. Hope you get this on the replay. How much can you grow per square foot? How long do your bags spend in the fruiting chamber? So, Josiah, that's a good question. And peak season, we'll do about 900 pounds a week. I can only give you my old numbers right now. So my old numbers in the downstairs op, we had 800 square feet total. That is laboratory, bag packing, sterilizer, grow rooms, incubation. In that 800 square feet a week, in peak season, we could grow 900 pounds a week. That said, that's hard to balance. And when the summertime comes around and nature's not working with us, it was much more difficult. Air conditioning bill would go up to like $1,000 a month, and you had a lower yield. I mean, it go down to 400 or 500 pounds a week. On average, we were growing about 600 pounds a week on an operation, our entire operation, taking up 800 square feet. My bags spend about 2 weeks. No, I'm sorry. They go into a room. So we have 4 walls, and it's not always easy to do. But what we try to do is 4 walls. Each one of them is a week. So bags will spend roughly a month in the grow room. And what that does is it gets bags out of the room quickly. If we see any kind of fly contamination in a bag, we throw it out. And what you're trying to do is keep the flies from building up. So typically our bags will fruit twice before they
Want to
leave
interrupt
the
that
room.
life cycle?
Yep. You want to interrupt the fly life cycle as much as possible. Don't allow water standing on your floor because they like to mate in the liquid, that kind of stuff. I mean, not mate, breed, like lay their larvae and stuff. I grow mic on oats and have seen incredibly strong white from many different species in response to a cue about gray mic on oats. Gotcha. Yeah, New Orleans here, trying to get a little grow going down here. The COVID and the hurricanes have made me really happy I didn't quit my day job. Yeah, don't quit your day job until your side job can pay for your day job. What did you say about mulberries? Oh, Samantha was just saying that the people that would grow the cordyceps on silkworms, Samantha was like, oh, you can do like a media that's like silkworms and mulberry, because silkworms eat mulberry leaves. You could do mulberry leaves and sawdust and the substrate, and then you've got the whole life cycle in one. Cordyceps, wood, leaf, and bug. You and your videos have inspired me. You, my son, and Fresh Cap got me started. Awesome, man. Glad to hear it. Great. John Gray said, you two are beautiful human beings. Listening to you wax eloquently about everything you grow in life, being a farmer. Much love. Thank you, John. I appreciate that, man. I feel like I oftentimes go off and don't really have much to say, but just talk loudly. When do you find the loss starts to pay off? Most of my students now are profitable in about 3 months. but that's going to depend on a lot of things: how much you're investing, how much you're growing, skill level, what your resources are. It's a lot of things, but I will say that on average, my students are, if you come and you do a mentorship with me, you're typically profitable within a year, with many of them nowadays even going profitable within 3 months. Thanks on the answer to the Cordy question. Do you powder them or? So I've not grown the cordyceps yet, but I had a lot of requests during the last live stream about, can you please do a video on growing cordyceps? So I am talking to a couple of cordyceps growers, one of them Ryan Paul Gates, who I highly recommend, terrestrial fungi. And I'm using William Padilla Brown's book. He's Apex Grower, I think his name. And I'm using his cordyceps handbook and some of Ryan Paul Gates' strains that he's bred. So I will let you guys know by releasing a video on cordyceps when I know more about it. Have you ever tried growing watercress to dry as a substrate or supplement? Seems like a really nutritive and low input hydrocrop. I have watercress in this tank and in my tanks outside. And I have not thought about it. We'll be using it for a supplement, but I have been thinking about using duckweed as a supplement. So I have a ton, like thick layer. So I've got a worm farm right over here. And the worm farm, I take that worm wee, the liquid, that black liquid that comes out of it, and I pour it in that tank, which is one of the reasons why it's like a black water tank.
When he says wee, he means pee.
Yeah, it's worm pee, right? It's where I rinse it out and all that stuff collects in the bottom, and then I just pour it in the fish tank, and it makes explosive plant growth. So all of our food scraps and paper waste goes into the worm bin. The worm bin gives me that worm wee and worm, what do they call castings? The worm wee goes in the fish tanks. Worm castings go in the gardens. And I'm thinking about that worm wee makes the duckweed go insane. So what I'm thinking about doing is taking the duckweed, out, adding it to a bag of sawdust pellets, and trying to grow mushrooms off of it because it's got such a high nitrogen content. This is why I follow you. A happy life and a business that impacts the world in a positive way. I heard Paul Stamets say, I have to be profitable so I can be charitable. Otherwise, it's not sustainable. Absolutely. And this is, people really get on and they hate Paul Stamets because he's a salesman, right? Like, he's not really a mushroom grower anymore, though he was a brilliant mushroom grower. Everyone gets onto him because he's making mad money being a salesman, and he is selling a product. Sometimes with dubious benefits, sometimes not. That's not what the market cares about. Those people want that product. He's providing that product. That said, I think that a lot of what he says, he actually does have a good intuition about, and a lot of times information to back it up. I really just don't understand. I really don't understand the Paul Stamets hate, especially since he's done so much. He got most of us old guard interested in the first place. Oh crap! I still have Fantastic Fungi and have not watched it yet. I just remembered that. Hello,
you wait for that too, didn't you?
I have waited a long time for that. Hello, greetings from Eastern Canada. Well, hello, CJ from Eastern Canada. Hello from East Tennessee. About let the Tennessee come out. I just got here. What's happening? Not much, Jose. What's happening with you? Or que pasa? Maybe that's racist. I don't know. Your hair. Yeah, right. Johnny Bravo.
Why would that be racist?
I come from, I don't know. His name's Jose, and I say que pasa, which is what's happening. But he may not speak Spanish. I don't know. He may just be named Jose. Your hair. I come from a long line of farmers. My family always grew gardens and canned. My children grow things. Being in the position to be so important to others is a blessing. I agree, Jay. Absolutely. Gazal says, hello, I have learned a lot from you, but no matter how hard I try to achieve what you have achieved, one thing is missing. Oyster mushrooms on the wood, which give a good harvest. I don't even know the number of strains I've tried anymore, but only 10% of the crop block is fungus. The straw, on the other hand, doubles. How can I break through this barrier here in the heart of Europe and Hungary? Probably sterile practices. You probably need to look into more atmospheric pasteurization or super pasteurization. It sounds to me like you're having trouble with your cleanliness. So focus on sterile technique. And technique will always beat anything else. So no antibacterial agar, no antibiotic agar. Work on technique, growing with a clean technique.
Could it also be the quality of the straw that he's available?
Maybe, but if you sterilize something, a lot of times it
breaks it up enough that
Yeah.
it can have easy.
it depends. I mean, like I would have to have so much more information to really guide you. That's just the best pointer I can give you without more
Give us
information.
more. If you got more information, anything you can think of.
Jared Brown says, still here. Thank you, Jared. Oh, that's from earlier. Okay, good. People are like, yeah. Joe Gray says, sinkholes. Oh, no, maybe I don't want the personal assistant job. It's not every day. It's just every year. Twice, 2, 3, 4, 5 times a year.
They seem to have more in the really rainy part of the
Yeah.
year where there's a lot of water.
I think it will take another half hour till he gets to my question. I know, Leppy. I'm so sorry. I'm in sinkholes, lol. The earth is hungry too. No kidding. Around here in East Tennessee, it'll gobble you up. Nah, I don't know that we've had anybody die in like 2 or 3 years from it.
No one's
Here.
been swallowed whole so far than now. At least not while who's
Saludos de me. Well, hey, saludos to you too. The comments on your shop are destroying. So much people wrote that you're a scammer. What the fuck? I know, Leppy. So here's the thing. Anyone who's pleased with my service never leaves me a good review. It's only the people who are upset with me that leave a review. It is so hard to get people to leave a review. I will happily give people a percentage off for leaving a review. Just leave me a good review.
No, that sounds like
No, don't leave me a review if you have not done business with me. And give me an honest review.
okay, that's better.
Okay.
You can't
Have
make
you-
it sound like bribing. You have to make it sound like an incentive. No,
Oh, sorry, wrong eye.
not an incentive.
And then she can't see it. I can't wink with my left eye. Have you experimented with rehydrating dehydrated mushrooms? Okay, so Leppy, real quick, just to go back into the scammer stuff real quick. 2 of those people on there have received full refunds. We're giving deals from the very get-go. We're told that those deals would take time to get, and then we're upset when they took longer than they wanted them to take. They then got full refunds plus free product and still left the bad reviews up.
We have documentation.
We have documentation of all of it. And I have thought about going on there and writing back. That's at least 2 people. Other people, all they have to do is request a refund. I am happy to give refunds. If I am late on something, I try to let you know as soon as possible. It does not always happen. And sometimes it's my fault. Sometimes it's in your spam folder. I've literally had a guy call me screaming at me that he had received no communication from me and no order when I had tried to contact him via email 3 times. I told him it was in his spam folder. He said, no, it was not. And then he called me back later on about 15 minutes later and was like, I am so sorry. I found all 3 emails.
That way, we could at least show the world this.
Just the way it goes. This is what business is.
Of course, but
So just what it is. And I'm a small company. I'm not the fastest company. I have unique things. If you want unique things, come to me, but I do not have.
there's also the fact that sometimes it takes things to grow in, and
Yep.
sometimes we're waiting as much as you are, and it's just the fact that
Yep. Have you experimented with rehydrating dehydrated mushrooms? Any thoughts? I've wondered if there is an industry for selling dehydrated. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I rehydrate mushrooms all the time. We save a lot of our mushrooms dehydrated in our long-term food storage. So,
I would think that there would be companies who, if you could show the proper cleanliness and everything else, that would potentially take it as.
well, a lot of people will buy dehydrated
Food storage.
mushrooms and then make like powders and barbecue rubs and things out of it. You can make it yourself, and as long as you have a commercial kitchen.
I would think freeze-dried mushrooms as a stored food product.
Yeah,
would be-
then you're talking about like a lot more investment in. I mean, it's still good. Like freeze dried is good. It's just there's no way I could afford freeze dried right now.
Well, it's a thought.
It is a thought. It's a good thought. What
It's
happened
like
there?
a
You
dream.
you scam with jar lids? No, Leppy. What it comes down to is on the jar lids. We're waiting from Ball. We're waiting. I've ordered from Ball, 3 sources on Amazon, Uline. Nobody has. I've tried to order them by the pallet. You actually missed that conversation earlier. Now I'm waiting. That's why I've got them out of stock right now.
Well, we've already made the order. The money's already been spent. We're just waiting.
Yeah. Earth is flat. Mushrooms have curves.
Okay.
Mushrooms do have curves. Got to bounce like Tigger. See ya. Thanks for everything. Always. Aloha. Yeah, Lance. Take care. Greetings, my people on the island, my brother.
I'm not a flat earther.
Huh?
Just FYI.
Not a what?
So I'm not a flat earther. Just FYI.
Oh, me neither. We pollute to make money. Got it. Yeah, sure. There you go. You obviously didn't hear what I said, but yeah, that's all right. Be unrealistic.
Sometimes you do it wrong, but you don't do it wrong for long.
In my opinion, blue gasket maker silicone is better than red. You don't need the high temp in a PC, and the blue holds up much better. Okay, really? The red can come off without scrubbing. So whoever was asking about that earlier, there you go. John Grady's got your answer. The red and clear are not gasket maker quality, and that's the best I've found. Same price at Walmart or online. Awesome. Oh my gosh. All right. Well, now that we're down to the chat and it's over 2 hours, I'll probably be getting off soon unless other people have questions. I do see some I'm getting to though. Any advice for hydrating and sterilizing millet? I'm about to throw all of it out. Mycelium colonizing slow, stalling at 89%, and bacillus contamination. Cannot get this grain dialed in. You're probably undercooking. So this is also why I deal with oats and not millet, because oats can be abused and cooked and cooked and cooked, that kind of thing.
They are very forgiving.
Do you have a video on creating self-healing grain jar lids? I do. I do indeed. Though I use the already made self-healing injector ports, but I mean, just replace it with making your own. There you go. What issues do you have to deal? It's I don't know. You should be able to look it up on my channel. I mean, I think it says something about lids in the title. What issue do you have to deal with in different markets, co-ops, farmers markets, restaurants, etc.? So for the most part, I'm entirely restaurants. We do have a small CSA where we sell mushrooms online, and then people pick them up at different restaurants that we have. And that's not really a big part of our business, the CSA, but we do get retail prices on it, so it's absolutely worth doing.
I will say that we were a part of, you're talking about issues, we were a part of another CSA in town, and there were times when we would have a crop failure, we wouldn't have as much, we wouldn't have the poundage that had been, like we would anticipate
right.
a certain set amount of poundage to hit as far as a
well, they wanted to know
target per week, and then we would have more than anticipated.
So what they would want is they would want us to tell them what we had a week before we had it.
Which is
and with mushrooms, as most of you guys know, they pin 3 or 4 days, you have mushrooms. So it's hard to forecast a week in advance.
Or they're off by 1 day.
Right. So you can put the blocks in there, but if flies trample their little bacteria-ridden feet all over your pins, you don't have the crop. It's all blotched.
Or you have temperature swings, or it's too humid and they end up being water soluble.
And they didn't like it because they had people that were joining the CSA specifically to get mushrooms, and then would order maybe a little bit of produce on some of the side. And then when they wouldn't get their mushrooms, they'd want a refund, and they would just quit the CSA or whatever. And so they were saying that it was upset, and that is kind of a problem with that.
So we ended up dropping out of that one.
Right, and then just doing our own CSA. But our CSA it's $100 a month, and it's $25 a week. You have to buy it for a month in advance, and then you get a block. You have a block that is put in the grow room, grown specifically for you, mushrooms harvested, put in the box once a week. That happens.
And we overshoot by a certain percentage to make sure that if something that did go wrong, and that's something else is. Issue-wise, you should always produce more than what you think you need, just to make sure that you have what you need when you need it, in case something goes wrong.
Yeah. Did you ever try growing on olive mill waste? I have not. I don't even know where I would get olive mill waste around here. Not a lot of olives in olive mills in East Tennessee. 2 questions. What was the first mushroom you grew, and why use so much LC premix in your LC? I've been using your recipe, just wondering. What do you mean so much? Do you mean like because I use 20 grams? I don't know. It's really not that much. I mean, if you taste the LC premix, like if you make it up in the 500 milliliters of water, you taste it's just barely sweet. So, but I mean, my liquid culture, I repeatedly get comments about how thick my liquid culture is compared to everyone else's. So that's part of it. It's just a good recipe. And I got that recipe. or at least the basic one from Lenny Rockwell. I made super pasteurized blocks, only 9% contamination. 12 pounds hardwood sawdust block give 1.2 pounds total yield, and 12 pound straw block gave me 2.4 yield. No good strain for sawdust and hungry. How can I break through this? Well, one is you can start breeding mushrooms yourself, and you can take spores from certain strains that you like on the straw, I guess, and you can germinate the spores on sterilized sawdust and pick the strains that run the best. And then do that a few times, and next thing you know, you've cloned out a strain that you really like. That's just an isolation one. You can even cross strains on it and see what you get. You can even make just a sawdust agar, which is just taking 10 grams of agar, 10 grams of sawdust. No, 2 grams of sawdust. And you can add just a little bit of soy or some of your supplement, and then sterilize that, pour your plates, germinate spores on that. You mentioned using oats for grain. What type? I just use whole oats. WHOLE, whole oats. Like what you get for horses. Also, instead of buying an expensive impulse sealer, I plan on using zip ties. Have you done this? No, yes, I've done a little bit of it. Sealer is so much better. You can get sealers for like $30-$40 that are just the hand press and you have to hold it. I really like I got one for $200. It's got the magnet on it. You just press it down.
That magnet is such a time saver.
Oh my gosh, because you get to work while it's sealing for you. I've seen a lot of people use zip ties. I'm not impressed. You can do it. It's just not my favorite way of doing it. And, if you're just starting out, do it. And then if you like it, then use that money to get the sealer that you want. By the way, I love your channel and appreciate you guys. Thank you, Ryan. We love and appreciate all of you guys for watching and supporting us and hanging out with us.
Making us better people.
Fave liquid culture recipe, like LME. So 1 part malt extract, 5 parts corn dextrose. Shake up all that powder. So what I do is 1 pound malt extract. I actually have a video on it. 1 pound malt extract, 5 pounds corn dextrose, put it in a tub, mix it all together. 20 grams of that in 500 milliliters of water. Sterilize at 15 psi for 30 to 45 minutes. At temp for 30 minutes, so I do mine for 45. Cool, and then inoculate. Do you ever have issues with spores or heard of people getting spore allergies? Seems to be underreported by workers. Yes, me. I got the mushroom flu, and it was bad.
I didn't have spore sensitivity until about 5 years in. And now I have a headache every time I come sort of near a box of mushrooms or whatever.
Yep.
I still don't have the reaction that Ben has.
Oh my gosh.
Ben can't even come near.
Ben will peek into the grow room and be like, nope.
He'll be holding his breath the entire time. Or he'll even have a mask on and just peek and then run. And it's just it's pretty intense with Ben. It's definitely a thing.
Ben's been sensitive from the get-go, though. Mine developed. I had no sensitivities to spores.
We've also had trouble ordering
for like a year or two.
Masks.
Well, masks have all of a sudden, I can find masks everywhere now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so respirators, by the way, guys, if anyone's worried about pandemic or whatever, you can get respirators now on Amazon pretty cheap.
And P95s are pretty much non-existent.
Yeah,
you can get P100s.
P100 filters are everywhere. The P95 are not. Get the P100s. It's my first time using bags compared to jars. Also, do you know any way to make a flow hood less noisy? Not really, man. Lots of cushioning. My new one that Ben built me
really heavy
is
wood.
really loud. Yeah, use heavy wood when you're building it. That liquid culture rocks. Good. I'm glad you like it. I have so much liquid culture, I don't know what to do with it all. I know, right? I'm constantly I have so much liquid culture. So, well, guys, I'm now at the bottom of the chat. Oh, got another one. Plan on buying a plug and play all-in-one fluid. Okay. Yeah, and so the biggest way is you can get those little crap. What is it? The insulation material that you can get that comes in a mat. You roll it out, and it's like a black foam. You can get that and then put your filter on it, and that will help a lot. Oh my goodness! Now all of a sudden it's come on.
So,
And everybody thought I was going to leave, so they put a question down, I guess. So collect spore, cook 500 milliliters. So collect spores, cook 500 milliliters of water, 10 grams agar, 2 grams sawdust, and a half gram alfalfa. And I should cut out the mycelium that seems to be the strongest. Yeah, and I mean, you take spores and you just do a spore. You can see it. I've got a video on how to make a liquid culture. I mean, a spore syringe, and then you can just make a spore syringe up and a couple drops of liquid on the water, shake it around, let it germinate, and then collect the ones that seem to be doing the best. The isolate out. Well, thanks. WTF do people do for commercial volumes of spores? Respirators. Like, just buy a respirator, wear it. I buy all my employees a respirator.
good ventilation too. Really investing
Yes.
in your ventilation, and
Yeah.
then venting in such a way that it's not in your house or
Right. Negative pressure grow room.
right outside, and an intake that goes into your house, or yeah.
Seal your bags with an old flat iron from Goodwill. There you go, Jay. That's interesting. What is a simple mistake you have made that cost a lot of time or money?
Oh gosh.
Hmm.
Well, I don't know if it's a simple mistake, but trying to, like, we sold on eBay and then had to immediately kind of retract that because we sort of let ourselves get talked into trying to do all these things, that it would be easy, that it wouldn't be that much added to everything.
Yeah.
And then it ended up, and it seemed like a very simple thing to do, and it seemed like it would be low cost and low energy.
But it's the more sales channels you have, it's complicated.
It was that straw that broke the camel's back on all, and it does get more complicated. And it was extra complicated because it didn't plug and play into what we had already established as our infrastructure. It used something else entirely. Like, what do we have to go through? I can't remember.
For eBay?
Yeah.
It was literally just the eBay app.
eBay
But then I was using the eBay app and then Bluehost, but WordPress for my site store. We were selling on eBay. We were selling, I was also selling individually through PayPal. We were selling through somewhere else. And then in-person sales with the restaurants and stuff. And it was just like, how do you just managing everything getting thrown at you and doing it on time ends up being really difficult. So
that costs a lot because we would get the orders, we would
buy the supplies in or make
the supplies, and then waiting on supplies people would want because they didn't get it shipped next day. They would want a refund. So you would give a refund after already having bought the supplies, and then it just ended up being ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't horrible because you'd be sitting on the supplies and you could sell them later. But
yeah. So beyond that though, something that for like a mushroom grower, probably the biggest mistake and the simplest mistake I made was just undercharging for my mushrooms in the beginning. That cost me a lot of money, and it cost me a lot of time because the more dollars you can make per man hour, the easier it's going to be to do business. The easier it's going to be to replace you so that you can do more complicated things. The easier it's going to be to replace you so you can manage your business. The easier it is going to be to replace you so that you can have more time to play and inspire more future thinking. So I think that undercharging for mushrooms is probably one of the biggest mistakes people made, just hands down. Getting desperate. Oh,
getting desperate.
I was just say getting desperate, and like somebody's like, "Well, would you do it for this much?" Yeah, I need that $1. No, don't do that. One of Rachel Braden left me a bad review because she's like, I told her, she's like, yeah, just order it. She wanted a comb tooth spawn. She said, order it through the website. She said, says that my connection is unstable. Now it's saying that I'm connected. Well, whatever. So anyways, she was asking if I could do it for my old price. And I said, yeah, I've known you for this long. Yeah, let's do it. But it's going to take me a while because I've got to make it all. It took longer than she wanted. And then she asked for a refund. So I gave her a refund to there and left me a bad review. I never responded to it because I don't like responding to the bad reviews like that. But it, that's a 1-star review that I've gotten from someone that I was trying to cut a deal for, and it ended up biting me in the butt.
To help out.
To help out. So don't stop trying to help people out. If you want to help them out, give them free information on YouTube or Instagram or whatever you want to do. Gary, not even going to try to pronounce his last name. On Instagram, Gary from it's not Fresh Cat. It's oh crap. He's got some amazing how-to videos on Instagram. If I can remember it, I'll let you guys know. But he does amazing tutorials on Instagram. Do that kind of stuff if you're trying to help people out. Information is more helpful than anything. It's not going to help anyone if you go out of business because you undercharged. So that's what I would say as a big mistake. You need to value your time. What? What? For what? Okay. Yeah, Bobby, you're welcome. See, Jason says, Jay, sell on eBay. Only person that's rocking LC is Liquid Fungi LLC, Matt Mazur. Yes, I should. Yeah, Jay, you should. What is the best way to make super clean spore syringes? Watch my video, how to make spore syringes. Really, the best way is aluminum foil, mushroom I put bamboo skewers to keep your mushroom off the aluminum foil, let it drop spores overnight, come in, collect it. Usually you can put a bowl over it or put it in, I wouldn't put it in front of your HEPA filter because it'll blow spores everywhere. In fact, what I do is when air comes into my lab through the HEPA filter and then out my door, I put mushroom on bamboo skewers on aluminum foil with a bowl over it right next to my door so that any spores that escape go out the door. There you got a good clean spore print. Then you take that spore print, make a liquid culture jar with just water in it, no liquid culture. Why don't we just use sterile liquid culture for that though?
I want to see a flat iron video.
All right.
Everybody say, I'm very curious about this.
Suck up your water, spray a little bit on your spore print, suck it back up. You have a spore syringe. For the giveaway, what do I do? Will you contact me? John, yeah, or you can just drop me a form through the contact us page. It'll be Monday before I contact you, before I can even begin to ship it out. So I'll need to get your address and all that stuff. Don't put it on here. I'll get it from you. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. I have to go. Bye. Yeah, Gazel, you too. Love all the content, man. Keep doing your thing. You're so helpful. It's unbelievable. Thank you, Daniel. Appreciate that. Only reason I know was pricing LC and noticed almost every listing was Matt Mazur. I don't know Matt, so I don't know anything. I don't know anything about liquid fungi either. I know one Lenny, but he's not liquid fungi.
No, but he's another LC.
He is another myceliumemporium.com, but I know he sells on eBay as well. And don't undercut your LC guys. These guys that are selling it for $7 a syringe, they don't understand that they're going to have to replace all their lab equipment in 3 or 4 years. They don't understand that they've got to, in order to replace themselves, they're going to have to pay a wage, or maybe they're going to mom and pop it forever. There's certain, I know, I will tell you something about liquid fungi. That, well, not liquid fungi, but other companies. From my understanding, there are some companies, and I've seen it myself, that will come and buy a syringe each of every type that Lenny Rockwell has, for example, and then will just relist those on their own website or their own listings, and then will charge 50% less. They're not doing strain development. They're not doing any sort of good cold, like long-term storage. They're just replenishing from someone else. So just be careful when you support those lower priced ones. I'm not saying that you can't get good strains that way, but it's like back in my day, people used to buy $5 slants. You get a little centrifuge tube with a little piece of mycelium. It's all you needed. But a lot of people who were doing that for $5 were not taking care to make sure their labs equipment was being replaced, their sterility was up, that everything was going the way it should. So
you will probably not see the longevity out of these companies that you
right.
do others.
Yeah, these ones that come in, buy a strain each and then cut the price in half, I don't think they're going to last forever. they're certainly not doing like a lot of business with commercial contracts and stuff.
Also, when something happens or there's a failure or anything like that, they're not going to have the built-up capital to be able to weather that storm either, as well as someone who knows their worth and knows what they need in order to make those long-term commitments. So definitely don't short sell yourself.
Absolutely. Do not short sell yourself. Recognize that you're going to do less business than someone that's half the price of you. But if you're charging twice as much, you can do half the business, and you're actually making more profit, and you have more free time, and you can afford to hire someone later down the road, giving you more free time.
You'll also find that you attract some really nice quality people. Not saying that someone who buys from somebody who sells cheaper is not a quality person,
right?
But I don't know.
You'll develop business relationships, and it's much easier to develop those business relationships when you value your time. And I will say that I've not rubbed a lot of shoulders until recently with fairly wealthy people, and then getting invited to all these farmers' dinners. Who's buying these farmer appreciation dinner tickets? It's wealthy people. We get invited to go to these dinners because we're some of the farmers. You start rubbing shoulders with people who run multi-million-dollar businesses. They start giving you a lot of advice on stuff, and it's like, since I started taking their advice, my trajectory has just exploded. And what's interesting, somebody that told me was, like, people who are concerned with wealth, wealthier people, they're not looking at how much your service costs. They're not looking at what they want is thing. A lot of these companies that undercut are not testing regularly over and over and over and over again. Test. And then not just test, replace. If someone calls you, says they have a contaminated syringe, replace it. No questions asked. You don't ask if it was, did you do this? Did you do this? Is it your fault? And finding some way to make it their fault. No, you just replace if you made $20 on a syringe, replace the dang syringe. They're paying you good quality money. Just replace it. Anyways, sounds like a place outside would be best for the spore thing. And yes, the flat iron works. I needed something and tried it and score. Nice. I'm glad it worked for you. I never would have thought of that in a million years. Thanks for shaking the camera, Brody. Sounds like a place outside would be best. I mean, to vent outside, yes, but if you're making a spore syringe inside, you want that spore print to be as clean as you can possibly make it. Okay, Bossum, trying to make them as clean as spore works. Gotcha. I remember you saying a while back you don't use circulation fans. Is that still the case, and have you found them unnecessary? I still do not use them. And I do think that they are not unnecessary for every case, but for most.
They just vent, and then it pulls in fresh air.
I just got here. Was there any talk of long-term storage of cultures? Not much, but culture slants in a refrigerated setting are usually the best way to keep them long-term. Plus, if you're working with liquid culture, you can go from a slant, stab that needle in, bam, and you can almost. Every time I make a quart of liquid culture now, I have a rule. I only expand so many times. So I have to remake my liquid culture regularly from slants. And what's cool is that same slant that I've been using that has barely grown has produced so many quarts of liquid culture, and that means the culture has not aged hardly at all. That's another thing that a lot of these companies are not doing. They're buying liquid culture from somebody, cutting it in half, and then just expanding liquid to liquid to liquid to liquid to liquid to liquid, like the kind of thing. So another thing too, agar slants, do the wood agar that I was talking about earlier, and very little sugar. Do a little bit, but not much. It'll allow you to get some good growth in the beginning, and then it'll run out of sugar, and it has to make its own. You get a lot less of the enzyme blindness that way, I've been finding. Actually, a friend of mine, Sydney Obersingleton's the one that told me about that and helped me figure out to store cultures on wood and soy with lower sugar content. So, about the money thing, keep close to the going rate. Don't undercut too much as it hurts everyone and makes people devalue you and your product. Yeah. Right on the money.
Out of market for that, yeah.
Yep. I have seen it happen. I've seen it happen to other people too. And when it does happen and you see the market starting to bottom out, people getting in that price war, you gotta really, like, you're gonna be tempted to go lower. Don't. Every time someone's trying to engage me in a price war, I just stay steady. I have seen so many farms come and go. So many farms come and go. And I have stayed stable in part because I remain unmovable, much like the mountain. Greetings from Brazil. Well, greetings. Thank you. Oh no, where is it? Home Ecology has an amazing video about making spore prints. Okay, cool. I'll check it out. He was on here earlier. I don't know if he still is. Out of Denver, right? Thanks again, guys. Looking forward to the next stream. Good night. Good night, Quinn.
Good night.
I've seen some home mycology a good bit. He has some interesting experiments he does. I don't think I follow home mycology. I'll have to check that out. Thank you guys for sharing that with me. At Bobby Curley, yes, he has me experimenting too. Yes, it's all about the proximity principle, getting close to people who can further you. Yeah, Jake, that's absolutely right. And what's cool is if somebody just heard that, right, they would think it's skeevy, but it's not skeevy, right? Like how do I do the greatest good? When my cup overfloweth. If my cup is constantly empty, how in the world am I ever going to pour out my cup for you? But if my cup overflows, then it is constantly overflowing into other people's cups. That is the prosperity mindset, really. Getting out of scarcity mindset. Stop thinking that everybody who's rich got there because they screwed somebody over. That kind of thing. You're exactly right, Andrew. We need reputable companies listing on eBay. It would make these other people not in it for the long term peter out, and that would be in turn make a better market for eBay buyers. That's true, and eventually maybe I should do that. I found my website is all I can keep up with right now until I get John Grady down here as a personal assistant. How long have you been in mushroom business? Since you're from Brazil, I'm going to assume your name is Jean. If it is not, please tell me that I am stupid and mispronouncing your name. But Jean, I would say that I have been in, my business license has been since 2013. I was growing under a DBA for 3 years before that, and then I had started growing mushrooms in 2008. So I did it for a hobby for a while, then a hobby business, got my business license, got 2 of my friends plus Samantha all on the board and 2 of my friends to invest, and then so on and so on. So.
And I had a full-time job
You
doing
did.
all of that. And then I ended up quitting after Andrew and I saved and saved.
5 years ago, actually. 5 years ago this year, you quit and came on full-time.
Yeah.
I know, right? It doesn't, in a way, it seems like it was ancient history. And in another way, it seems like it was yesterday. But yeah, we moved into this house 5 years ago, and you and Ben laid down the flooring. And then
we ripped up the flooring and then
then laid down the flooring. And we were working on this house while building the farm out at the same time.
That was another thing on whoever was looking at property. Try to find something without carpet. This is nasty.
Yeah, no kidding. Josiah says, where are reliable sites for good genetics? I've been looking for a variety of shiitake. Unfortunately, I haven't seen much for shiitake on your site. Haven't seen much for shiitake. Oh, I'm sure there's a poop joke in there somewhere. That said, I've got some shiitake strains coming out. They will be out very shortly. In fact, I'm going to do a shiitake bulk pack and then a shiitake pack as well. I'm waiting on some blocks to fruit so I can get you some pictures. Yeah, I have a Chinese production strain. I have a Japanese production strain that I just got in. I have 3790, which is the strain used by most commercial growers now, and 3782, which just a few years ago, like 2 or 3 years ago, was the standard strain. 3782 produces a ton of little tender shiitakes. 3790 produces few large meaty shiitakes.
So what's on the shelf right now?
The Chinese production strain.
Because I was going through and looking at it the other day, and I noticed that it's actually fruiting before it's browning.
It is, but sometimes they do that, and I just ignore that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was worried about that.
Paul Stammett's strain is supposed to be a white fruiting shiitake, but I've seen a lot of people grow it, and the yields are terrible. So they're better if they're browned, which at that point, what's the point? So that said, I will be doing a lot of shiitake. I'm actually doing some shiitake breeding experiments coming up. But Mycopia sells a lot. Maine Cap and Stem sells some really good strains. In fact, Maine Cap and Stem regularly buys strains that I develop. In fact, I think I'm supposed to ship them some more this week. And then who else has good strains of shiitake? I don't know what North Spore is running for shiitake. So when it comes to oysters, I've got some of the best stuff out there, I think. But for shiitake specifically, I think it's going to be 37.90 is pretty much the industry standard in America right now. I think Lambert's has got a good shiitake strain, but I've never grown it. And then Aloha Medicinals actually has a few good shiitake strains, but they're expensive to get. I don't actually remember any of the strain names, and you won't know what you get until you pay the $200-300 to get it. So it's almost not worth doing. Hey, fun guys. Well, hey, that's exactly what I was talking about. I was only adding wood to my agar recipe, not reducing down the sugar content. Thanks. Absolutely, Tien. Thanks, kickboxing craze. I need to get my heavy bag set back up. What's the typical time liquid culture takes to take off in a fresh grain spawn? How many CCLC does a 5-pound grain bag or sawdust bag need for fast colonization? Can colonization be sped up? The more LC you use, the faster it's going to be. Because LC is so cheap for me, because I make so much of it, I use 10 milliliters in a 2.5-pound grain master, and I'll use 10 milliliters in a 5-pound grain master. Usually in a 5-pound grain master, it takes me 10 days. That's 3 to 4 days. You start seeing it grow a pretty big ring, bust it up, and the rest of the time it will just grow in. So that's about the fastest I've seen it grow, is about 10 days. You can sometimes, with faster strains like the King Blue will grow in about 7 days. Most Hericiums will grow in about 7 days. What's the latest on the lion's mane trials? And did the Cyrus strain I send you in yet? Oh, so I did just release a Hericium bulk pack. It's 9 strains for $135. Some of it's wild stuff that I've done. Some of it, I think, is the Cyrus strain in there? I had to name it something. What did I name it? What was the code name on that? I'll have to look at my notes, man. Because I'm trialing out. I've got 32 Hericium strains I'm trialing out right now. So I think the Cyrus one has already gone through, and I do have pictures of it, if that's the case. If it has not, then
We'll get those up on.
Yeah, I'll get them up.
I'll make sure you get them.
There are a lot of good Hericium strains out there I'm finding. Like, I'm really enjoying them. Thank you, Tyler. What's beautiful? Oops, I forgot to put the thanks on the last message. Oh, man, no worries. Actually, I think you did. You did say thanks. Thank you for all your videos. Please keep up the good work. Thank you, Thomas. Andrew, would you ever consider adding limited partners to raise capital for further expansion? I am always open to hearing an offer. I am. Samantha's not. You'll have to convince her. The board will always hear offers. I love hearing your wee ones in the background. Thank you, Jay. Yeah, they're pests.
Singing earlier. They're not pests.
They're the best kind of pests. My pests. Have you ever grown Shiitake 75 strain? Yeah, I have grown the Shiitake 75. Thank you for reminding me of that. That's a good one for straw. I've never tried. I've only ever tried it on straw though. I've not. I need to try that one on the sawdust and wheat bran. Yeah, your oysters are fire. Thank you, Jason. Yeah, I produce some weird stuff, but I don't understand why more people aren't breeding mushrooms. Like, I mean, I do understand it. I'm writing an article on it right now for the website. Our blog is about to become much more active. Ben is now full-time on Mossy Creek Mushrooms, so he writes well, and whenever he writes, I tend to want to write because he and I both kind of like just set each other on fire when it comes to writing. What was the first bulk pasteurizer you've built? I just built one with a rough tote 37-gallon with a tube connected from the PC. I don't even want to talk about the first one because that was scary. That was the salt steamer.
That one was scary.
Oh my gosh, that one was scary. Every time we ran it, we were just like, "Oh my god, please don't
You
blow
may
up,
not
please."
want to say anything about that one because that might give people
Oh,
some
no.
ideas.
Here, no, I have the idea. Do not do this. Bucket, electrode, salt in the water. Figure out your current by how much salt you're adding to the water, and then create a refill valve out of another bucket, out of a toilet float valve, and have that fresh water flow into the saltwater tank. And then put the top of the bucket on and PEX pipe it to your pasteurizer, which was a 55-gallon drum. And as soon as we could afford to buy a sauna steamer, we did.
Yeah. I
But
will say that it was really neat because it would boil in like, I don't know, 5 seconds.
oh my gosh, I shocked the shit out of myself like 2 or 3 times. Which I was being an idiot. I was standing on a metal ladder, barefoot, reaching into a bucket of water. And I reached into the fresh water when not even thinking about it. I was like, oh, that valve's stuck. And just reached in, oh shit, like that was bad.
It scared me to death.
Yeah.
I thought for sure you had been fried.
Yeah, I was. I've never been right.
Don't
since.
ever do that.
Don't do it, guys. It's the
Please,
worst.
Never, ever.
But sauna steamer, $200 on Amazon. Move the timer circuit pin over, and bam.
And the
Hook up-
bucket was
We were just so
bucket that we-
poor. We literally couldn't afford anything.
and that bucket's still downstairs.
It's still downstairs, yeah.
It was an icing bucket that I got from being a
Oh,
cake decorator.
We're going to keep we pulled the hammer out of Thor and kept that, and that is getting hung up on the wall at the foundry above the door. When people walk in, they will always be
And a
walking
Rich's
under Thor's
icing
hammer.
buttercream bucket.
Yep. And then we'll be taking a Rich's the old steamer, and we're definitely gonna I'm gonna create a museum for myself of all the crazy shit we've done. So as you walk around my op, you'll just see all the weird stuff we've done to make it.
Good stories.
Oh yeah. I cloned some shiitake from the grocery store. Yeah, that's great. That's a commercial strain. Now it's getting closer to enzyme blindness than a lot of other stuff is, but that's okay. That absolutely works. The cup over filleth analogy. One of my experiences, I saw mushrooms growing out of it was symbolizing abundance a lot of the time. Oh, mushrooms growing out of the cup, I guess, was symbolizing abundance a lot of the time. When I close my eyes, I see mushrooms growing abundantly. Blessings to you and your business. Thank you, Tyler. Blessings to you too. Sounds crazy. I was thinking of a Bubba barrel, but it's so expensive. Yeah, don't do Bubba's barrels. I love the guys. They're based out of Knoxville. I wanted to do business with them, but where they're already doing business with Eric Myers, they didn't want to drop him to pick up me, even though they said they'd like to do business with a local guy. But man, I mean, that's $2,000-$3,000. And this is something I always tell people: if you're going to hire me for a consult, do it before you buy equipment. I can save you $10,000 right off the bat. Do not do that. Sauna steamer, $250 on Amazon, 9-kilowatt steamer. Get somebody to wire it in for you, plug up the water, move the timer circuit over, and then spend another $250 on a 500 or 300-gallon tote or trough, insulate it, just get some PEX, bam, you've got something that can do a full ton of substrate at a time for $500. Do you ever store sawdust bags not yet inoculated in it for how long? Yeah, I mean, for a couple of days. We once took a few that we had pasteurized, set aside in the lab, and let them sit there for one of the bags lasted 2 years before it finally showed any signs of contamination. That's something we've done occasionally, but no, we don't store them like that, just for a day or two. Sometimes over the weekend. You're welcome, Bobby. What kind of sauna steamer should I look at? Any specific brand works better than the other? The ones we get, Steam Moist, I think is what it's called. It's got a little mermaid on the side. That's what we used in the past. I mean, we've built our own boiler now, but Colin Salazar, great question. I want to know also. I gotcha. So I do suck up spore print and do an LC with a syringe? Yeah, you can. Absolutely. It's not an LC with the spores. So you got to remember this. When you suck up spores, you're getting a syringe that has a ton of different variant genetics in it. So a spore syringe is not, it is a form of liquid culture, but it is not what we think of typically as liquid culture. Liquid culture is typically something already cultivated, something already purified, something already isolated. That would be a spore syringe, and that is for generating new strains, new genetics. Then you'll take something from that and clone that out into liquid culture. Bam, now you've got a whole new strain. And there need to be more breeders out there, guys. It's never going to come from the big sources. What? I've already answered that one. We need more breeders. Back in the day, people used to backyard breed tomatoes. And then commercial varieties became really common. People didn't breed as much. Now the big companies do it. But they're not producing tons and tons of new genetics. But someone like, what's his name over there? Wild Boar in California. He's producing, he sells to Baker Creek. He sells to all these other companies. I've grown some of his tomatoes out. Cosmos was an amazing tomato variety. Boar's Tooth was good. But people like him, he's not huge scale. He's pretty big. I mean, he's big for a tomato farmer, but not as big as some of these operations out here in East Tennessee. And that is, that's just the way it goes. So, exactly, they're a lot of money. Yeah, they are. Myers Mushrooms is selling the all-in-one flow hood for $7.59 shipped. 2x4. They are made in China, though. I was thinking of buying. Price is so great, but I don't know about quality. So, yes, his filters are perfectly adequate. He uses them. I think TR Davis uses some. The flow rate is not the same. It is the same level of purification, but not the same flow rate as what you get from some of the other companies. It is not going to qualify you for a Category 5 lab. Category 5? I think it's called Category 5 lab. But you're not dealing with biohazardous materials anyway, so those work just fine. I know a lot of people that use them. It is not the same quality as a unit you would get from Paul Stamets Company, but the value per dollar is there. So I don't think that, I mean, Myers, I mean, he sells good stuff. With breeding, I can start with spores and isolates, correct? Absolutely. In fact, the way most people breed, the Elm Z strain, which is the warm weather elm, that has saved my butt continuously, summer after summer for the past 3 years, was produced by Jay Schindler of Fungi for the People, I think is his play. It's not a company. I don't think it's an organization. Maybe it is a company. Anyways, that was an isolate from Elm A oysters that he then, I think, heat stressed. I don't know for sure on his process. I haven't talked to Jay in a long time. I talked to Brian Callow of What the Fungus and got the Elm Z from him to start using. So, and I don't sell that. I sell it in my warm weather pack, but I don't sell it individually just out of respect for Jay. I've never asked him if I could sell it. I figured in a bulk pack, it's very different than selling it individually. So, but I've never had any restrictions on selling it, so maybe I should just start selling it.
Ask me a question first.
I don't know how to get in contact with Jay anymore. I've not talked to him in years.
Maybe ask around, see if somebody else has.
Yeah. So when you were growing in your basement, you were pulling in all that cold air in the wintertime. What did you do? What did you use to heat it up to keep it from freezing?
The blocks.
The blocks. With as many.
Actually, I'm kind of worried about this winter.
Right? Because like we're going to be cold in this house. We've not used heating in this house for the past, other than like a small space heater just to keep where we were at more warm. But the incubation room used to produce so much heat. You would walk by it in the wintertime, it would just feel like a hot air just slapped you in the face.
And the heat from the steamer.
Yep.
Produced it. So
we would pull blocks in. Yeah, that we have
outside the house.
Right.
And it would warm the brick and then sort of thermally just kind of radiate
Yep.
out from the walls. Very strange.
And then we would unload the steamer when the blocks were still hot, bring them into the lab, and then that would produce heat. So like we didn't use heat all for the past 3 or 4 winters. We've not used
we
heat.
would just open the basement door and you could feel the fresh, warm air just coming through. And it was almost like the incubation room and the grow room, or the incubation room was kind of like a pre-filter. It would just kind of
It would pre-warm the air before it would go into the grow room.
Yeah.
Yeah. Worst came to worst, if it like a hard freeze, like -9 degrees or something here, I might put a little space heater just outside the grow room so that the air would have some heat to it. But they almost never did it. So that's how. Now, that said, I live in East Tennessee, so about halfway down the country from people who are in Canada. And I'm not the person to ask about Canadian weather. You want to talk to Brian Callow?
We're definitely down south.
Oh crap.
It's warm anyway.
What's his name? I don't want to say his nickname. Oh my gosh. Old woman face. That was his nickname.
So if you didn't say it.
I know, but I can't think of it otherwise. Oh my gosh. Nope, it's not going to help me.
Who are you talking about?
The guy who created Odin, the Odin bagger. He works with Brian Callow on some stuff. Oh my gosh. I don't understand why I don't. Like, I've talked to him so many times. Oh, I'm having a serious brain fart, guys. I'm sorry.
I don't know it. All right, help you out.
Yeah, he sells HRVs. He sells the Odin bagger. Anyways, he's the guy to talk to about cold weather stuff. I've read about cereal dilution as well. Yeah, you can cereal dilute. I've never found cereal dilution to be quite as necessary as what a lot of people think it is. But you can do it. But that's if, like, that's I've never done it. But cereal dilution is used if you want to get down to like one spore and then mate them together. That is very intensive breeding. I'm talking like, let's do backyard redneck stuff and suck up spores in a syringe and squirt it in a dish, shake it around and to spread it out. And then allow stuff to just battle it out at whatever's the most aggressive you take from, right? That's the easiest way. How do I take my passion for mushrooms into a career? There's like 15 different ways to answer that question. The first, I would suggest, like, if you're wanting to really think about mushrooms as a career, go to mosscreekmushrooms.com, check on our blog for a post called Working Backwards, the importance of working backwards. There's also Mycological Warfare, Part 1 and Part 2 by Ben. Those three kind of work together. Working backwards, though, is kind of my way of, like, entering into the marketplace. And the best way to do that is grow mushrooms, usually with a kit or two to begin with. See if you enjoy growing mushrooms. And if you do, buy in blocks. Build a grow room, buy in blocks if you can. If you can't do that, then the next best thing is to make spawn, or is to buy in spawn to make your blocks and then grow and sell mushrooms. But there's everything from liquid culture suppliers, block suppliers, fresh mushroom farming in general. To me, fresh mushroom farming is the easiest way because it's the highest profit margin per man hour / skill level to get into. But I mean, it's a burgeoning industry. So right now there are just do reps, man. Get in, do some work, figure out what part you like, what you are good at, hit that groove. And as my father says, my father knows that I have a tendency of doing way too many things. Like I get bored and I start a whole bunch of projects and then I just crash. And my father's always like, dude, just learn the one thing that makes you money and do it. He's like, it's not that hard. Just do the one thing that makes you money. So find the one thing you're good at. Find what you're good at. As per my dad's advice. So thank you, Randy Reed. Find what you're good at. Lean into it. So in order to find out what you're good at, just play, experiment till you find it. Sorry, that's my question. Just made it live for the first time. Hey, no worries, Kyle. Thank you, man. Do you check for C clamp? Oh, clamp connections with breeding. No, I don't. I don't do I do some microscopy, but very little. Most of it has nothing to do with breeding. I will check on spores germinating and stuff like that occasionally, but no, I don't. I just trial strains out. So my way is messy, but because there is so much low-hanging fruit available right now, that is what works. I figure I will refine my process as I start hitting brick walls, but I mean, there's so many different strains to play with, to grow, to breed, to just mix and match. It's incredible. What are some good resources to learn more about breeding mushrooms? Unfortunately, Josiah, there's not a lot. Sidney Ober-Singleton's the man that I talk to over and over and over again. He's really hard to reach now. He's doing a lot of research with leafcutter ants and like tracking their food source to the mushroom food source. Like it's some fascinating work, but he's gotten hard to get a hold of. But he is the one that I talk to there are on Google Scholar, you can go on Google Scholar and look up papers, and a lot of people have got papers on breeding mushrooms. Most of the time I found resources on why people don't breed mushrooms. And that one of them is because if I go through the trouble, it's not like seeds. If I go through the trouble of breeding a mushroom variety, right? And I'm a big company and I've spent thousands of dollars, tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars producing this one strain that's commercially viable. I then release that into the marketplace. Everyone who grows that mushroom can now clone it and never buy it from me again. So I have to sell it for an insurmountably high price in order to make my money back. Us backyard breeders don't have to worry about that so much. We can do it messily, sloppily, doing things. It's absolutely it's made for us. It's tailor made for the small grower, as in my opinion. You grow it, you start selling it, it gets out there. Who cares? You've bred another strain by that point. That's just as interesting. You just keep doing it and keep doing it every day. Go in. And I find that a single spore print produces just a innumerable amount of strains for me to trial. So many strains that I have got strains upon strains upon strains upon strains. Like I told you guys, I have 100 and something strains in liquid culture right now. Not even half of those are listed on the website so far. I still have to grow the rest of them out, and these are ones that have already been pre-selected as potentially commercially viable. I have maybe 347 strains from a single crossing of oysters where I did a spore streak and a spore streak. I mean, I've got 300 something strains that are awaiting trial to see if they're potentially commercially viable. So it means I'll make 3 blocks of them, grow those 3 blocks out. If they are unique in some way, then I'll take that, I'll clone it. Not clone it, I'll take it and expand it into liquid culture and then do 50 blocks as a commercial test. And then I'll see how standardized the physiology is, see if the phenotype is clean, if I need to do any isolation work on it, and then I will release that once I have pictures, fruiting conditions, et cetera on it. So it does take a lot of work to breed mushrooms, but I mean, it doesn't have to take that much work, And I'm planning on making some resources on it. In fact, I have a time lapse going right now over at the shop with some stuff about breeding, like watching 2 spore streaks come together. I'm just having a really hard time getting the plate to not condensate to the point that you can't see it, because the lights that you need are producing so much heat that it's producing condensation on the top of the plate where I can't even see. Oh my God, I could do it upside down.
Upside down.
That's the way we store plates. Microbiologists store plates to keep condensation from forming on the lid. You take it and you flip it over because the evaporation makes it go back up into the mycelium. Why have I not thought of that? I can just put the camera angled underneath with a light. Sense. Oh my gosh, I just figured it out. What was the capsule you put in your liquid culture? I didn't hear you talk about that though. It's a stir bar. I'm sorry, I thought I did talk about it. Thank you, Killer Kenyas, for knowing that already. And Shadowju. Wow, that's crazy. Thanks for answering my question. Yeah, Kyle, absolutely. Killer Kenyas, man, welcome back. Just got on. Are the baggers up and running? What's the basic price? Yeah, man, we're now shipping baggers across the United States. Base price for the Thor bagger is $1,750. That is for a 10-pound bagger. It can be adjusted slightly in direction to a little bit smaller, a little bit larger. That's including the water system and the bagger itself. That does not include a air compressor that you'll need, or you'll need a water hose and a source of water to hook it up from. And the Ben has it now where the baggers it can produce if you got like a 3-man crew, which is we have found to be ideal. 3-man crew, we're producing a bag every 6 seconds or so. So, and then for the shipping company that we're using a place out of Knoxville, and they've been helping a lot of people. I think the shipping comes out to about $250 shipped to California. So it's a little bit less to other places, especially in the Southeast. I will say Ben came on with us full time today. So bagger production will speed up. That said, and the bagger will be listed on the website very soon so that people can just order them. but I think it's about 4 to 5 week wait time right now because he's ordering parts, but valves are becoming less and less and more expensive. That's actually why the bagger was
That's our bottleneck,
$1,500.
you guys.
Yeah.
That is definitely our bottleneck. It's
Here in North Dakota, -30 every so often in winter. Oh my gosh.
no thank you.
I pull air from another unit in our building. Yeah, you got to, Roan. Oh my gosh. Wait, North Dakota. That's not Roan. Superior? No, that is. I thought that was Michigan. Am I thinking that you're the wrong person, Superior? Oh, Superior Mushroom. I think Roan's Superior Mycology. How many hours did you spend a week on mushrooms while having a full-time job? If you're talking about to her, I was running the mushrooms back then, and she was doing full-time.
I was working full time.
Yeah.
Probably about 72 hours a week, and then he was at home taking care of the kids and working the mushroom business by himself.
Yep. Now, we'll say when Samantha and I were working this as a full-time job by ourselves, we were Ben helped out. Like Ben would fix the boiler and do things like that. Things that Samantha and I don't really have the skill set for. Yeah, he would build things for us. Like we hired him to build the grow room out for us and that kind of stuff. Tony at Fresh Cap Mushrooms. That's the guy I was talking about. Nope. Still not who I was talking about. I was talking about Gary. Never mind. Though Tony is good too. I like Tony. Tony makes good videos. I'm jealous of Tony. How many hours did you spend a week? I admire Tony. So Samantha and I were spending 20 hours a week together. So 40 man hours total running an op that was producing 900 pounds a week on the peak part of our cycle, but 600 pounds a week on our average weekly cycle throughout the year. So the wintertime, we were much busier. Summertime was a little bit slower.
I don't think that's realistic.
You mean it's not realistic?
I don't think it's realistic.
That's what we were doing. Ben and I counted it up over and over and over again.
That was just production, right? That was lab and planting blocks and picking.
What do you think I'm talking about?
Well, I'm sit there and think about all the hours that you.
That doesn't count the
on
videos.
phone and
That doesn't count. That was the phone time. No, I didn't hardly spend time on the phone back then. The fresh mushroom op is what I'm talking about. My text list with the chefs takes me no time. Takes me 10 minutes twice a week.
this was
we're
before
not
YouTube.
talking about online videos. We're not talking but this is fresh mushroom because most people are not going to be doing online businesses. They're asking about fresh. This is fresh mushrooms only.
Okay.
When you and I were working alone on the fresh mushroom side. I'm sorry, guys. Give me 1 second. Samantha's going to entertain you. I'll go pee.
Oh, again. Oh.
Can't help it. It's a 3-hour live stream.
Well, okay. I want to show you guys what I've been working on and try to ask some questions or answer some questions. So this is what I've been working on, and it's a lantern. Da-da-da. Oh, now you can't see it. Anyway, so there's that. Doing reps. I love the analogy. Yeah, that is that's something that we're really big on. Is just because the more reps that you do, the better you get at it, the more practiced you are, and the more easy they become because they're practiced. I did 45 hours a week in a weld shop. 30. Oh my gosh. That's 75 hours. I have been there, done that, and that is not easy. So kudos to you, Superior. I know that is, it's well worth it, though, I promise. 20 hours at home, 40 hours at work. There's that too. Andrew, come back. Hurry. I'm bad at this. I want to cross strains and are the same species, but from different locality. Okay, you need to answer that one.
Nope.
I can't. I mean, I could, but it would be a really bad answer and you don't want it. Okay, have fun.
Okay. Where are we at?
Where you were.
You didn't do anything?
No.
Welcome to my world, guys.
That's not true at all.
Okay. Let's see.
Yes, Tony at Fresh Cap is a great person for cold weather ideas. And you're welcome, Kickboxing Craze. Jay says, doing reps. Love the analogy. Yeah, that's a friend of mine moved in with us for a while, like 2-3 years ago. And he's got an organizational mind just set up for that kind of stuff. And he was talking about how he's a personal trainer and he looks at life through that lens of doing reps. And he was talking about having low, medium, high days, right? So you can track what's going on. Your low days, you just do your basic minimums. That's it. You just show up and do the work. Medium days, yeah, I'm feeling better. I'm going to do a little bit more. And then you have your breathing fire days where you're gonna set new personal records, weightlifting, and all that kind of stuff. So there you go. I love the rep analogy. He's also got another phrase that I love: remove all impediment to action. That's been a beautiful one. Spannensbogen's another one, though. That's from Dune.
Oh.
So if John Grady's still here, or Dune Nobleman, or any of the Dune heads that are still here, Spannensbogen. And I wonder if, hey, Collier, come here.
Yeah, really? Come on, Dad.
So Collier,
Yes, sir.
Spannensbogen.
I don't know it.
You don't remember it?
I don't
You're gonna make me a liar out of me again.
What?
Man, come on.
I don't know. It's something the
See if you can remember.
hmm.
Spannensbogen. No.
The
Self.
self-imposed delay between the desire for a thing and the ability to grasp that.
There you go.
Hey!
There you go. Spannensbogen. The self-imposed delay between the desire for a thing and the reaching out to grasp that thing. Spannensbogen. There you go. Love that saying. Superior Mushroom. I did 45 hours a week in a weld shop, 30 more at the farm. Yeah, man, we've had those times. I haven't worked an 80-hour week in years, thankfully, but Samantha and I used to pull 80, 90-hour weeks.
Although we consistently work 50 or
Mm-hmm.
so.
Bobby Curley says, dang, I'm at about 20 hours at home and 40 at work. Yeah, I mean, so it's going to vary depending on where you're at in the cycle. In the beginning, you're going to do a lot more 80-hour weeks. And, hopefully not that at all. That was because Samantha was working 2 jobs. We were literally like ships passing in the night, never saw each other. That was a hard time. But we got through it, put in the investment for the infrastructure up front, bit the bullet, and there we are. We're at a much better spot now. We have more time together than any married couple I know. I remember that we went and worked at a factory together, and they're like, all right, Samantha, you go work over there, and Andrew, you go work over there. And we're like, can we work together? And they're like, you want to work with your wife? And I was like, you want to be married to someone you don't want to spend time with? So
That's kind of crazy.
I know, right? I want to cross strains that are the same species, but from different locality. Oh my goodness. Yeah, absolutely. Well, you're going to have to do it from the same species. You can hybridize some, but it's a skill set that's beyond me so far. But there are people that do it.
I have a question.
What do you have?
Is that ring not too small?
For what?
For the lantern?
No, that looks fine. So does that mean you've made spawn from spawn? If so, was that grain or liquid? So spawn, yes, you can make spawn to spawn. It's called spawn expansion. Usually it's grain to grain. If you're going from liquid culture to spawn production, I do that mainly now. Almost entirely I do cook a bed, shoot liquid culture into it. I don't do the grain to grain transfers like I used to, but I mean, my grain to grain transfers were so clean. I used to do 6 to 10 expansions, and one 10-pound bag can go into 100. One 5-pound bag can go into 100 10-pound bags of spawn. So, I mean, as long as your work's clean. Do you have a good labeling system to keep track of all the strains? No, I need a better one. But I'm working on it. So, thanks, Kick. At Stacy with grain to liquid, I have horrible
Memories? Sorry. Kefir looks kind of gross when you drink it, I know. Grain to liquid. Now, there is a technique that I have developed where if you've got clean grain spawn and you want to go to liquid, I have found this to be very useful for ordering in grain that is cheaper than a culture. Order grain from a company, get their grain, you get your self-healing injector port. Take your self-healing injector port. I only have released this on Instagram, so this will be the first time I put it on YouTube. And I've been thinking about doing a YouTube video on it. Fill your self-healing injector port. It's one of the reasons why I like the ones with the bowl shape at the top. Fill it with alcohol. Take a piece of sterile grain with sterile tweezers, sterilize them with a flame or pressure cooker or whatever. Grab a piece of grain, stick it in that little bowl of alcohol. Now, you'll take your needle, your syringe, put sterile water in it. You're going to stab. When you stab through, you're stabbing through the grain, then through the injector port, and then you just release, right? Just push that water through. You're going to take a core sample of that grain. It's a grain biopsy. It's a biopsy on the grain. That tissue biopsy, it's clean. The only parts that have been exposed to anything are the top and bottom of that core sample that hopefully have been soaking in alcohol, were already sterile to begin with. You get very little alcohol in the needle. It's diluted into the liquid very easily. Not a big problem. And I have done this many times, and I call it the bed bug technique because of the way the bed bugs breed, which is they just stab anywhere they want, which is gross. But you stab it through, you inject it in. It's about the easiest way in the world to make liquid culture. From grain spawn, ordering grain spawn from your favorite purveyor, put the little grain in there, stab through. There you go. You have a whole jar, 40 to 50 syringes worth that you can make 5-pound bags with. You just saved a ton of money. Let's see. I'm just getting into mycology. Your channel is the best out there. Thank you, Tim. I don't know that that's true, but I'm glad you think so. I'm really glad that you guys really think so, that you're here with us. I'm jealous of some of these guys. Not jealous. I'm an admirer of some of these other people and their video making capabilities. Oh, who's the new one coming out? Kingdom of Fungi. He's got that beautiful, curly hair that comes down. And he's growing in all those, what they typically grow weed in, those reflecting rooms. Can't remember his name also, but he's got people with cinematic quality cameras that go out there and film some of his stuff, and it's just beautiful. I'm so just seething with jealousy. Michael Davis in North Dakota. Okay. So thank you, Superior. I appreciate that. I'm sorry for getting you confused with somebody else. Sweet, in a couple of months, I'm going to get a bagger. I email when I'm ready. I live in Jax, Florida, so it'll be less than Cali. Keep on keeping on. I was, yeah, man, you too. And Triple Chris. Looks like you had a Trippy Chris, maybe? You had a message that got thing, and you said, who the F am I? I'm Andrew Reed with Mossy Creek Mushrooms. I opened my phone, and this was on. What the heck? I don't know, man. I don't know what to tell you. Hey, dude, I was thinking, can you grow mushrooms upside down? Yeah, but they're going to search for the way up. I've got a lot of mushrooms that grow in the bottom of out the bottom of a bag.
They pop out the gussets.
Yeah, but they always try to go up. So you get these weird, strange fruits. It's not really good quality. How do you create strains that are specialized to growing conditions? So one of the easiest ways, and guys, it's been 3 hours, so I'm gonna be getting off here soon. But incubators are probably your best friend for this. Whatever substrate you want to grow on, make up a water agar of that type. So it's not really a water agar, but if you want to grow on mesquite, take mesquite chips, make an agar with it, and then germinate spores on it. Whichever does the best is a strain that is doing the best out of that particular isolate. You want a mushroom that'll grow in heat. Take something I've been meaning to do and have not done yet. So maybe one of you guys can take on this project. Pink oyster, and increasingly germinate spores at lower and lower temps until you get almost no germination at all. But what does germinate will be the most cold tolerant thing you get. Take that, do it again, breed it again, over and over and over again. and you can do self isolates over and over again, or you can do spore streaks with 2 or 3 different types of varieties, and then select at your. So you got a spore streak that goes this way and a spore streak that goes this way. Wherever your lines have crossed, you sector that. You take a chunk out, place it on a new agar dish, grow it in the cold. Whatever does the best, you select for that. Just over and over and over again, just doing rep after rep after rep till you discover that one. I've got a pink oyster that's grown at 40 degrees. Bam, and I assume, genetics are pretty plastic, and fungus is already just very oh my gosh, the amount of phenotypes I have seen crossing mushroom strains. My first ever was a blue oyster with an elm oyster cross, and that was done as a test. I took the white elm and the blue, and then I grew out several different strains from that cross. And what I noticed is I had several different shades of blue, and the guy that I was working with and myself were sitting there going, "Oh, that means," look at that. You can see you're getting shades that you don't even see in blue oysters typically, or in the white or brown oysters. That slight buff from the blue is mixing to make almost a lavender color or a whatever color. And so, crossing like blue oyster is Pleurotus austriatus, variant columbinus. Elm oyster is Pleurotus austriatus. I don't think it has a variant name on it, but it proves that the columbinus can breed with the non-columbinus varieties. Maybe I should say prove, but it makes me believe wholeheartedly. So that kind of thing. Which is why I hope that answers your question. It's really just, if you ever played StarCraft, it's like Abathur in StarCraft, where he takes like Zerglings and he throws them on a lava planet and he just breeds them in the worst conditions possible until something finally lives and thrives. And then you're like, take this and add it to the swarm, clone it out, done. That kind of thing. You shaking your head at me? Oh, I thought you were.
No.
What is the purpose of live feed? Just answer questions for people. Costas. By the way, I like that name, Costas. Well, I'll keep working on my labeling system. If I come up with anything, I'll let you know. Please, man, I'm working on it. I've just got an alphanumeric system. We write almost everything. I do have labels created for each strain, but it's just a label for the liquid culture, and it's after we've grown it, taken pictures, made the label. But it's not a tracking system. Samantha does have a. Oh crap! I was supposed to give those to somebody and I forgot to give them an example of your layout, your sheets that you've made for tracking, the waste log, the planting log, and all that stuff. I meant to give that to somebody. I was asking for it. You're very welcome, Bobby. You too. I hope it blesses you very well. Grain spawn to liquid. I just took a scoop of grown out mycelium and dropped it in the nutrient solution. It's growing nicely. Yes, that has worked out for me great, Jay. The only difference that I have between that and my method is that you'll end up getting a whole kernel, and I have found that the mycelium will tend to cling to that kernel and grow and grow and grow into a mat. And you can try to bust it up, and it will bust up, but it kind of clumps a lot, and it'll it'll plug up your needles a lot when you're trying to pull the liquid culture out of the jar. It doesn't always happen. Certain strains do it more than others. Reishi is a son of a gun. Once it starts forming the skins on the top of the jar, like if you forget to stir it for 2 days and it produces a skin on the jar, you might as well just create a new jar. Like that stuff can be so difficult to pull sometimes. Well, guys, I'm down at the bottom. I am going to jump off here because it has been 3 hours and 15 minutes, and it has been pure pleasure, but I am now tired. So thank you all very much for joining me. And well, real quick before I sign off, can you do a podcast for your Q&A sessions or your live chats, please? What does that mean? Like, how would I do a podcast out of that? Can someone help me with podcasting? I think I may be a boomer and just not get it. I mean, I'm not a boomer, but. Ben and I and Samantha talked about, we're actually thinking about setting up a studio downstairs and doing podcasts on that, just audio. I don't know how I would do that. I guess can I download my own videos from YouTube and then just scrub that and then put the audio up somewhere? Where would I put the audio? KH, if you know anything about it, man, why don't you get? I will look into it, but get drop a line on me on like go to the mosscreekmushrooms.com, go to the contact us form, lay me down a link, and I'll figure out if I can do it. And Jay, with the crazy at the oysters being at the pink oysters at 40 degrees, that's just an example. I mean, that's elm oyster wouldn't fruit into the 90s back in the day, and then Jay Schindler produced something that would fruit into the 90s.
I'll
So
say that we've had pink oyster fruit.
down in the 50s,
Yeah.
like 55,
I remember
57.
one time I looked at the thermometer and it said it was 62 degrees. And I will say that they grow slow as all get out.
But they'll grow really pink, like blood red.
But
Sometimes.
they're really, really meaty. And I actually think I like them better at cooler temperatures than I did at warm.
I almost always like mushrooms growing at cooler temperatures better than warm. Just such a better texture. All right, guys. Good night. And like as I said earlier, that Jackie taught me in Cherokee, Loye, victory.
Bye, guys.